1541B, the first flight of the Airway Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Chevy 4 computers now have primary control of central vehicle functions.
What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny, beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. We had some weird weather today. It was a little bit like rainy. I think the tornado siren went off at one point, but it went away pretty fast. But yeah, it's a wonderful day out there. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. We made it through the weekend, people, but we didn't, well, I guess I shouldn't get into the news yet. First, I got to go into the personal stuff. So, since the last time you saw me, what did I do? Yesterday, did I do anything? I don't feel like I did anything yet. I'm having a hard time remembering, so I guess that means I didn't do anything. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I know that I played some video games. I know that I watch some Stargate later on. I feel like I did something earlier in the day, but now I can't remember, to be honest. So, okay, well, that's your update. Not the best update this time. And then, yeah, I went to sleep, woke up, went to work. We're back, back at home now. We're not doing in-office weeks, so that's good. Work was not the worst day today. It was pretty, laid back. I worked out over lunch, did upper body, felt pretty good. I took almost like an entire week off, basically, when we had to go into the office. So, it feels good to get back into it a little bit. Oh, I know what I did yesterday now. I went to my parents to grill, like they grilled. So I went over there. My wife was on call, so she didn't go, but that was nice. Yeah, now that I remember. It took me a second to remember, but now I remember. My mom gave me this shirt, actually, while I was there. They got it on their most recent vacation. So that was what I did. So anyway, so I worked out today. I did upper body. Then I finished off my work day. I made like a potato cheese casserole today. That was pretty easy. I was looking for a way, like just a way to use potatoes, to be honest. I have a lot of potatoes. I'm trying to get better about like having less food waste. So, I'm trying to use what I got, find excuses or find new recipes to use up what I got. So, so there's that. Then I came up here to stream for you, the viewer. Hello. Today we got a lot of news. I'm just forewarning you. A lot of stuff has been going on. Iran stuff been kicking back up. There's just a whole lot of stuff to get through. So let me not dilly-dally anymore. Today I'm going to be drinking a Fitz's root beer. I'm going to be drinking Fitz's root beers a lot because I accidentally bought the 24 pack of Fitz's root beers at Costco instead of the variety pack, which is what I meant to get. So I got like 24 Fitz's root beers that I got to get through. So I'm going to be drinking that a lot. But anyway, let's get into the news. So first things first, as always, Iran news. Since yesterday, a lot of stuff has happened. The markets, I'm sorry to tell you, I think they might be failing us. People haven't been out there doing their market dances. People haven't. I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in you, viewer, for not praying to the markets to keep us safe and sound. But yeah, so apparently there's been some America decided, I think, to start sending ships or escorting ships or something is what I heard or what I read in an article earlier. Iran retaliated, I think, by shooting at some of them. So this video is just going to be covering all of that, and then I'll give my thoughts as we go. So that's just kind of setting it up for you guys. So anyway, let's go ahead and watch this video. This is Iran claims striking U.S. warship as Trump pledges ship passage. Let's go.
Iran state media now claims that that country's Navy has prevented the U.S. military and U.S. military ships from entering the Strait of Hormuz. This is just as President Trump, as I mentioned, says that American forces will begin guiding ships through that very same strait. A note here, a U.S. official tells CNN that guiding is not the same thing as escorting, as has long been discussed and not implemented, which, yes, raises a whole host of questions about how this...
Okay. So they're not actually going to be, it sounds like, sending Navy ships to go through and... try and protect these ships, which because of course they're not. Like, they're not going to get that close to Iran. Iran would sink those ships so quickly if they decided to get that close. I think that they're really trying to take advantage of this ceasefire and Iran's desire to not look like it's escalating to an extent, but also at this point it is basically like a full escalation with Iran's like recent strikes on the UAE and stuff. So yeah, they're not going to move their Navy assets that close to Iran. That would be like essentially a death sentence for those ships.
Actually works now. And so far, shipping data shows almost no traffic is moving there still. On this announcement from Trump, Iran responded by publishing a new map of the strait. The red lines that you see right there, those are the boundaries.
Oh, but I guess what they were doing, though, is they were essentially giving a map of like what ships, like what path ships should take through the strait. I guess like this is like America saying to avoid the mines or something, just follow this path. So that's their that's the extent, as far as I'm aware, of what America is actually doing to protect ships going through the strait right now, which I don't think is gonna convince anybody who's trying to ship stuff, who's trying to ship oil, to risk, like, still take on that risk. Like I say, all Iran needs is one gunboat or one missile, and they can, keep this blockade going, keep these ships from going in and out
of the expanded zone that Iran now claims it controls, and warns that, well, the quote is, any foreign military force will be attacked if they try to approach or enter the key oil route. Overnight, gas prices ticked up about a penny, but the national average, remember, we've been tracking over time, has jumped 35 cents in just a week to $4.46 a gallon. Let's go to CNN's Kevin Liptak. He's live this morning for us at the White House to start us off. What are you hearing about all this? There seems to be quite a bit happening as we speak.
Right. And I'll start with some of those claims that we've seen in Iranian state media over the last hour. I've been talking to officials. No one had heard that an American ship had been struck, which was one of the claims that you heard from one of the Iranian state media sources. Now Central Command, just in the last few seconds, coming out with a statement denying this, saying that no U.S. Navy ships have been struck. U.S. forces are supporting Project Freedom and enforcing the naval blockade on Iran.
This, by the way, was from 8 hours ago. I don't know if there's been any updates on that. I'm more inclined to believe that a Navy asset was struck. America lies all the time about military assets being struck or the extent of damages being caused by Iran. They also love to pretend like random acts of God, like take down their planes, as opposed to just like accepting that Iran shot one down. So America has a long track record of lying about this stuff. I'm much more inclined to believe that Iran actually fired on and hit a whatever American ship or whatever was going through there.
Iranian port. So trying to clear up at least one of the pieces of information that's out there as the president tries to get traffic flowing again through this critical waterway. In the past, the Iranians have claimed to have struck American vessels. It turned out not to be true, but I still think it underscores some of the risks that are inherent here.
When was that? I don't know. Maybe if you're like accepting the State Department's talking points, maybe you could convince yourself of that. But I think they've been pretty accurate about when they've said that they've struck stuff. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe there was an incident or something, but I don't really particularly remember one.
as President Trump tries to get vessels flowing through this Strait of Hormuz, it has the possibility, if the Iranians fire back, of breaching the ceasefire, which is still in place, but obviously something that the president doesn't want to be affected as he tries to pursue a diplomacy with Tehran. You know, it's not precisely clear what some of the American assets that CENTCOM has said will be involved in all this will actually be doing. They say it will involve guided missile destroyers, more than 100 aircraft, drones, 15,000 service members, but how all of those assets sort of play in to reopening the strait isn't precisely clear. An American official said that Project Freedom was not an escort mission, and so we don't know exactly what guiding will mean. I think the suggestion is that the military will essentially coordinate with these ships to show them which channels in the strait are the safest, and sort of through their presence in the region provide some reassurance to these vessels. But of course, this claim today by the Iranians, I think, just underscores why so many shipping companies and
this is going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to be honest. This is going to make it a lot more dangerous. Iran will likely start firing more often on ships at this point, because it essentially gives the green light for them to do so. And like, because I guess if they're not technically sending their military Navy ships in there, it's really no different than what it was before. But the narrative is that America is going to be escorting ships. And so that gives Iran a lot more leeway to begin firing on them. So this is just going to escalate the danger for all of the ships going through there, which is going to make all the people who have a lot of money riding on these ships, like making it through safe and sound, it's going to make them a lot more risk averse and not want to do it. So this will do the exact opposite. If your goal was to get more oil on the market or whatever, that's a dumb decision. I keep going back to the best decision, or the worst decision America ever made was to keep up the blockade after Iran said that they were like gonna open it up for everybody. It would have been so much better. America could have lasted so much longer without the pressure point of like the world oil economy. This is just a complete and total flub, like one of the worst geopolitical, like strategic decisions that I think I've ever seen.
Ship pilots don't want to cross through the Strait of Hormuz because they believe it is unsafe. So a number of challenges, I think, for the president. That's underscored by what we've seen in the shipping traffic just this morning. They have shown that virtually no tankers or cargo transiting through the strait, despite what the president said would be going into effect today. Of course, you also have the diplomacy at play here. Yes.
Yeah, he's President Wishcast. He just pretends, like he just like wishcasts that somehow things are going to change if he just like says it, and it just never. He keeps failing. He needs to wish harder.
Today, the president saying that he was disappointed. He thought the Iranian proposal was insufficient, but also at the same time saying that these discussions are very positive, saying that they could lead to something very positive down the line. And so I think a lot of conflicting information here as this new initiative takes effect.
We have conflicting reports, frankly, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. U.S. Central Command is denying claims by Iranian state media that a U.S. warship was struck by Iranian missiles near the Strait of Hormuz. This is happening just as President Trump said that American forces will begin guiding ships through the strait beginning today. Now, we should note that a U.S. official tells CNN that guiding is not the same thing as escorting, so it's really not clear how all of this is supposed to work. Iran does claim that it has prevented U.S. military ships from entering the strait today. It also published a new map with red lines showing the expanded zone that Tehran now says it controls in the strait, so you can see an area both inside and outside the Strait of Hormuz. Iran warns that, quote, any foreign military force will be attacked if it tries to approach or enter the strait. So far, shipping data shows almost no traffic is moving there. The strait, as far as we can tell, is effectively still closed right now. Overnight, gas prices ticked up a little bit.
Isn't this the exact same thing they had at the beginning? Am I wrong? This is like deja vu for me. I feel like I just heard this. Yeah, there's a lady who said the exact same thing earlier. What are they doing?
The national average has now jumped 35 cents in just 1 week to $4.46 a gallon. Kate?
Okay,
let's talk about all these conflicting details coming in and just the state of things, especially in the Strait of Hormuz. Joining us right now is Democratic Congressman Suha Subramaniam of Virginia.
I was like, I'm not going crazy, okay?
Thanks for coming back in. On this move announced by the president, do you want the U.S. Navy starting to guide ships from foreign countries through the Strait of Hormuz? Because the president's talking about it as a humanitarian gesture, though.
Who is this?
Apparently,
is this a Democrat or a Republican? I don't know if they said at the beginning. One sec.
Ships from foreign countries through the Strait of Hormuz, because the president's talking about it as a humanitarian gesture, though it apparently does not include U.S. Navy ships actually escorting other vessels.
Yeah, it's still unclear to me how that's helpful, whether that will get more ships through the strait. Certainly, if we can pull off a scenario where we can get ships safely through, that is a good thing for our country. It's a good thing for the war, good thing for the entire world. But the reality is this was not an issue before this war started. And Iran has gained leverage throughout this war by claiming the Strait of Hormuz and by controlling it.
It's not possible. It's not possible. That's the main thing you should say. It's not possible. America will not be able to escort ships through, like actually escort ships. There's no way this is not a militarily solvable problem. There's no way militarily for America to create the conditions for safe free flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. It is just not possible. The only way that I would say that that's even remotely possible is if America does a full-scale ground occupation of the entirety of Iran. Installing their own client government, doing full Iraq style or full Afghanistan style, I should say, situation. If America committed to that, then during the time period that they were fully occupying Iran, they would be able to get free flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, that would go away as soon as they left, or as soon as So, but it's just not possible. And he's doing another one of the things I hate from Dems is that they never talk about this from a moral perspective. It is immoral to go to war with Iran in a war of choice, a war of aggression against Iran in this situation. They never even talk about the morality. It's a very, very, very frustrating.
And so anything we can do to undermine that control is a good thing. But let's remember that this was not an issue before this war, and more reason why this war has been a disaster so far.
Congressman, if this is essentially to challenge Iran's effort to control the Strait.
Yeah, if only the Democrats were in charge, they would do the war right, people. The strategic trajectory of the war would not change depending on who's in charge. It would be a lot less annoying. Like the rhetoric coming from the State Department and from Keg's breath or whatever would be a lot less annoying if the Democrats were in charge. But the trajectory of this war was set in motion like 20, 30 years ago. Iran planned very heavily for this war for that entire time period. And America has been losing, has been losing its world hegemon status slowly but surely for the past decade or so. So it's this trajectory couldn't have been changed with different leadership or anything. So
a senior Iranian official is saying that any U.S. interference in the Strait of Hormuz would be a violation of the ceasefire that the U.S. had agreed to. Do you think that's the case?
No. I think any ship should be able to go through the Strait of Hormuz. We do not recognize Iran as being in control of the Strait of Hormuz. And so ships should be able to go through, and any act of war by Iran is a break of the ceasefire.
What are you going to cite for that? I got news. International law is dead. It's gone. We let it die in Gaza. It's might makes right. Iran has the might. That means Iran has the right. What are you talking about? If you guys had stopped Israel from destroying all semblance of international law in Gaza, then perhaps you would have a leg to stand on when you're making an international law argument. But again, we live in might makes right world now. So this is the world that you got. I'm specifically talking about Democrats too in this particular circumstance, because it was under the Biden presidency and Democratic control that we let international law die. So sorry, you can't make a good argument now when we live in the world of might makes right.
Being in control of the Strait of Hormuz. And so ships should be able to go through, and any act of war by Iran is a break of the ceasefire if they fire upon a ship that's trying to get through the Strait of Hormuz. So I reject what Iran's trying to say. They're trying to use this as leverage. The issue here is that they didn't have the Strait of Hormuz as leverage before this war. They were trying to get nuclear weapons as a way to gain leverage over the world. But this war has given...
Well, they did. They did have the leverage. They just never exercised it. Now you're just mad that they're actually exercising the leverage that they always had. They always had the military capability to do this. It's just now is just the circumstance that they're finally executing it. So I don't know.
Hormuz as leverage before this war. They were trying to get nuclear weapons as a way to gain leverage over the world.
No, they weren't,
but this war has given them new ways of gaining leverage over the region and the world. And so anything we can do to undermine that is a good thing.
Jesus Christ, man. I'm do you want to lose? Do you want to lose to Republicans? Why are you just all of your arguments are essentially the exact same as the Republican Party? Talking about Iran was 2 weeks away from a nuke or whatever. The Benjamin Netanyahu talking points were downloaded into this guy's brain. This is not a winning message. This is a losing message. No fucking Democrats want to hear this shit. I don't know who this is for. Who is this for? Are you auditioning to become an AIPAC lobbyist or something? What is the purpose of this?
European leaders are meeting today, kind of talking about the path forward now and reacting to the sudden announcement from the Trump administration that they are pulling 5,000 U.S. troops from their station in Germany. The German chancellor downplaying it, though other European leaders say the timing did come as a shock.
If I was in Germany, I'd be fucking fist pumping. We're no longer being colonially occupied by America. Hell yeah. Like, let's get these troops out of here.
What's your reaction? Is this a smart move? Does this help further U.S. interests abroad?
It does not help further U.S. interests. The reality is we are treating our allies very poorly. This has been a trend in this administration.
See, all the NATO people, like, this dude is basically just a Republican. Like, all this stuff that he's, I mean, I guess to be fair, Democrats are very pro-NATO as well. So I guess that part is a little bit different. But I don't know. Germany should be happy. They are going to, by getting rid of America's like essentially occupying force like on their land, like they will finally have a little bit more say with the direction of their country. They will be slightly, just so slightly less vassalized to America. Every one of these moves like that America does is one of those things that like I would have done if I were Grand Ayatollah of America. I would have like started pulling all of our troops, all of our various force projectors out from all of these various countries, so that these countries could finally like not be subservient little dogs to America, or like the people of the country. That's what I care about. Like the people of Germany, their government shouldn't be completely dictated to, their policies shouldn't be completely dictated by America, which is what happens when you become a vassal. And NATO essentially just vassalizes all of these countries to America.
And if this administration wants to build consensus and gain support for this war across the world, undermining its allies is the opposite of what they should be doing. They should be working hand in hand with our European allies, but instead we have undermined that relationship. This is once again a failure of diplomacy. This entire administration has been a failure of diplomacy. And so this absolutely undermines our own interests.
To be absolutely clear, I'm going to say this again. These trajectories, the self-implosion of America, like the decline of it as an empire, and the lashing out that is a symptom of that decline, were set in stone way a long time ago. Democrats could have like held it together for a few years or whatever if Kamala won, maybe like I don't know. I think Kamala probably would have gone to war with Iran too, because that was dictated more by the material conditions of Israel. But like a lot of these things could have been like duct taped back together for maybe like 4 years with Kamala. But the trajectory that we were on was always going to lead to this exact situation with like lashing out at allies and all that stuff. So, but this dude was, I don't know who this person is. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what his voting record is. Maybe he's not as bad as I thought, or as I'm thinking, but his messaging is terrible. Like he basically just sounds like a Republican. Like, so, okay, let's go ahead and move on now to something related. This is Al Jazeera this time. So as this hot war has started back up again, initiated by America's decision to, I guess, escort ships, or not really escort ships, but like start trying to get more American, I guess, vessels, at least through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran started firing on them. Another act that I think Iran did was they fired missiles at the UAE. For those unaware of all of the various Gulf states, the United Arab Emirates is one of the ones that is most antagonistic to Iran. And so because of that, they often are going to get hit, like the first ones to get hit, or like hit the hardest and all that sort of stuff. So Iran apparently hit some oil facility in the UAE. This video is going to talk a little bit about it, and we're going to all learn together. This is UAE reports missile and drone strikes incoming from Iran as fire hits Fujairah oil facility. Let's go.
We begin with some breaking news, and the United Arab Emirates says it has intercepted a number of missile strikes from Iran. A large fire has broken out at a petroleum facility in the port city of Fujairah. Earlier, the UAE's Ministry of Defense issued a statement on X saying 4 missiles coming from Iran towards the country were detected. where 3 missiles were successfully intercepted over the country's territorial waters, and the last one fell into the sea. The UAE's Ministry of Defense confirmed that the sounds heard in scattered areas of the country are the result of the successful interception of the aerial threats. The ministry urges the public
Well, why is something on fire? I don't understand.
to obtain information from its official sources and verify the facts, in addition to adhering to all public safety measures upon receipts of warning messages. Let's bring in Natasha Turak, who's a journalist in Dubai. Natasha, tell us about what's been happening these last few hours there.
Well, the latest information we have is that a cargo ship is on fire off the coast of the UAE as the country warns of incoming attacks from Iran. This is from the British military's UK MTO Maritime Trade Operations.
So a cargo ship is on fire. Okay, interesting.
As the country warns of incoming attacks from Iran. This is from the British military's UK MTO Maritime Trade Operations Center, announcing the fire on the ship. Now, we don't know where the vessel is from, but that there's a fire in the vessel's engine room. This is off the coast of the UAE. Now, in the last 3 hours, we have had 4 missile alerts go off in Dubai, and 3 missile alerts have been heard in Abu Dhabi. This, as the UAE Ministry of Defense says that air defense systems are actively engaged with incoming Iranian missiles and drones. Meanwhile,
UAE says Iran targeted petroleum complex in Fujairah. Fire breaks out at oil facility in Fujairah after attack. This again is given the stink of like they're just saying that they intercepted all the missiles to save face. Like this is like some America shit where just by the act of God, a lightning strike somehow hit this same facility that they were striking and caught it on fire, but it definitely was in Iran. Like it's kind of given that vibe to me. So maybe they'll talk a little bit more about it, but I would guess that one of the missiles got through. I wouldn't trust that all of the missiles were intercepted.
While there's a fire still working to be contained at Fujairah Petroleum Industries in the UAE Emirate of Fujairah, that is part of the UAE's vital energy infrastructure. So this is part of Tehran's playbook of hitting energy infrastructure in the Gulf when it comes under attack. And the Fujairah oil facilities are very important, an important part of the UAE's export infrastructure, because this is actually where there is an export terminal that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. So a very strategic, important, key part of infrastructure for the UAE's energy systems and for its economy. So authorities say they are working to contain that blaze.
Am I muted too? This is a disaster. How long was I muted? I don't know how long I was muted. Oh my gosh. This is a disaster, people. I just also realized that I was on 1.5 potentially for that whole video. I apologize if that's the case. We're going back to 1.0 speed. I don't like to do or like go up on my speed for my the videos that I'm watching, even though I could get through them faster or whatever, but because I also like to leave it so that like because a couple times I've watched my own stuff or whatever, or whenever I watch my own stuff, if I want to turn it up to 1.5, I should do that myself. So, or I want to be able to do that myself as opposed to me, the streamer, dictating it to you people. So I apologize for the 1.5 times speed. Let's keep going here. I don't know how long I was muted either, so this might be a scuffed video.
Blaze. Meanwhile, we have not yet received the all clear from the last missile attack.
I will say it's crazy though. When you listen to stuff at 1.5, like it sounds normal. In my head, it sounds completely normal. And then whenever I go back down to 1.0 speed, it sounds like they're talking in like slow motion. Yeah, anyway, my apologies, people, yet again for that one.
But again, for the last missile alert, pardon. So again, 4 alerts over Dubai in the span of 3 hours, and 3 heard in Abu Dhabi as we continue to watch and wait to see what else happens.
Right, and quite significant, as you say, that oil facility in Fujairah is on fire. What have we heard from the authorities there, and what type of response can we expect?
Well, unfortunately, but as we know, these attacks are not new for the UAE and for the Gulf more broadly. So emergency services at this point are...
3 Indian nationals sustained moderate injuries as a result of the fire. Yeah, it's definitely a missile strike that hit it then.
Certainly well versed in how to respond to these types of attacks and these types of crises. But as the authorities said, they are working to contain the blaze. Meanwhile, the alerts are telling people to shelter in place, seek shelter wherever they are, and wait for the all clear, which people are still waiting for here. But as far as we are aware, air defenses are engaged, are continuing to intercept missiles that are coming in. As you said in your rundown, 3 have been intercepted and 1 has fallen into territorial waters, according to the UAE's Ministry of Defense. And we continue to wait for further updates.
Natasha, thank you very much for that. We'll come back to you, of course.
Well, there you go, people. There you go. The hot war is essentially back on again. It feels like maybe, you know, they're not saying it. It's all just like, you know, rhetorical trickery, just to spin. It's all spin and market manipulations. That's basically all that comes out of Trump's mouth anymore. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. This video is probably completely scuffed. I'll probably not even clip it later because of all of the shenanigans going on there. But we're back to normal. We're back on 1.0 speed, and we're ready to go. We're ready to go right
good
here.
Good morning. There are several.
We're heading over to Fox News World, everybody's favorite world. Epic Fury. This is about this was an interesting one. It was the title that really caught my eye on this one. This was from 5 hours ago. It says Epic Fury latest. U.S. will return seized Iranian ship, Pakistan says. So that indicates some sort of like, I don't know why, because usually like these types of things would be viewed as like weakness by the U.S. administration. So I'm not quite sure why they would agree to that. Maybe this is one of those situations where Pakistan is like, you know, telling people like what they should do, and then America may or may not agree. I don't know. We'll watch this video and we'll all learn together.
All right, good morning. There are several new developments in the Middle East happening as we come to air on this Monday morning. How the U.S. is tightening its grip on Iran and also extending a helping hand to the global economy. So here we go on a Monday. Things are moving. I'm Bill Hemmer, live here in New York, and good morning.
Good morning. Always fun to start a week with you. Again, I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. So we have lots of news.
I thought they were going to move after Mamdani got elected. I thought they were moving down to Florida. Or are they still doing in the Commie Corridor up in New York?
And more to get to you. So the U.S. maintaining its blockade of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. It's turned away nearly 50 ships so far. The operation sending Tehran's economy into freefall.
So now the fight over that key shipping lane has wreaked havoc on commercial shipping as well. In response, President Trump has announced Project Freedom. This was on Sunday evening when the president did this on Truth Social, writing the following. We have told these countries that we will guide their ships safely out of these restricted waterways so that they can freely and ably get on with their business.
And we're going to have much more on all this with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
So that was like yeah, I think a lot of that was market manipulation as well. Like, because it really wasn't anything that new. Like, it was, we are going to give you like directions through the strait so that you don't hit mines, I guess, is what the thing was. So I think that the primary purpose of that was to like, you know, boost the stock market, or to like lower the price of oil temporarily. I wonder what Brent crude is going for. Let me see. Crude. There we go. Okay. When was this? April 30th. Wait, that's not the latest. One sec. Oh, okay, here we go. This is what it looks like. So, where is May 4th? Okay. I wish I could just do, can I just do 1 day? 1 day. 1 week? 1 day. Okay, we'll stick with 1 day. Because it was kind of at the beginning of the day that it was announced that, we're going to be escorting ships, which I think dropped it off, was my understanding. But I don't know. Anyway, let's see what the Muppet Scott Besson has to say.
Ably get on with their business.
We're going to have much more on all this with Treasury Secretary Scott Besson. He's sitting right here. But first, let's get to Lucas Tomlinson. He'll give us an update from Dubai. Hi, Lucas. Good morning.
Get wrecked, Scott Besson.
Good morning, Dana. And an early sign of success for Project Freedom, the U.S. military Central Command said just a few hours ago 2 U.S.-flagged merchant ships were successfully escorted out of the Strait of Hormuz by a pair of American destroyers. Now, Iranian claimed it fired a missile and hit one of those destroyers, something Central...
So they were Navy ships. Okay, I didn't know that they were actually... that they had done any escorts. So they escorted a couple American flag ships, I guess, for the propaganda narrative. Like, I think that's the only reason that they would have done it. Because they're not going to do this at scale, I don't think. But so they escorted a couple ships. Okay. And then Iran shot a shot on one of them. According to Iran, hit them. According to America, didn't hit them. But already though, you're seeing the precarity of doing this like for everyone. Like if you're like, you don't want to be doing this all the time. If you got hit already, just doing it once. Also, we're still technically in a ceasefire, so maybe Iran is avoiding using some of their capabilities to try and protect their reputation as not being the aggressor. So there's that too.
Command is refuting, writing in a post, quote, "No U.S. Navy ships have been struck. U.S. forces are supporting Project Freedom and enforcing the naval blockade on Iranian ports."
I don't trust
yesterday,
that.
At least 2 commercial ships were attacked transiting the Strait of Hormuz. A cargo ship heading northbound off the coast of Iran by small boats from Iran's Mosquito fleet. The other, an oil tanker north of the UAE by Iranian drones. An action condemned today by the UAE, saying it was one of their national carriers. And just before we got on air, Dana, we received an alert of potential missile attack from Iran here at the UAE. Now, as hundreds of vessels remain stuck inside the Persian Gulf and off the coast of Oman, gasoline prices back home.
They're changing the narrative again to be like stuck, right? Like that's a new word that they're using, is like these ships are stuck over there. I think I'm assuming that's just to build up the narrative for like why they need to escalate in some meaningful way or something.
Or at or near 4-year high.
We gotta go break them out.
The Persian Gulf and off the coast of Oman, gasoline prices back home are at or near 4-year highs. Blocked fertilizer shipments also affecting farmers. In an effort to get that traffic moving again, as you mentioned.
Oh, by the way, when I went to go to my parents' place to grill, they live kind of out in a rural area. And so their neighbors have like farmland and whatnot. But they were like talking about how it was weird that like their neighbors hadn't started planting their corn yet, or I think it's corn that they usually plant. And yeah, I told him, I was like, yeah, it's probably the fertilizer. It's probably the fertilizer price. It makes it impossible to do it. So, that was one of the few chances that I got to see, like, a potentially, we don't know for sure if that's the reason, but a potential like just real world effect of someone my parents knew or whatever of the war in Iran.
Project Freedom.
I also heard that like 70% of farmers were unable to plant their crops this year, which is like, yikes. Food prices are about to go through the roof.
Affecting farmers. In an effort to get that traffic moving again, as you mentioned, Project Freedom to relieve the bottleneck from President Trump to restore freedom of navigation to the Strait. The plan doesn't currently involve U.S. warships escorting vessels through the Strait. However, as we just saw just a few hours ago, those 2 U.S. flagged ships were escorted by a pair of American destroyers. Now, Iran warned any American intervention will be...
Yeah, this segment right here is exactly why they did it. If they did actually send some Navy ships through to escort them. It's just so that they could get some sort of narrative out there that this this succeeded.
Considered a violation of the ceasefire, and the U.S. security quarter is directing vessels to sail south of that traffic separation scheme, highway on the water essentially, and sail closer to Oman's coastline. Now, as negotiations continue between the U.S. and Iran, an act of apparent goodwill, Pakistan's foreign minister announcing today an Iranian cargo ship suspected of transporting military equipment seized by U.S. forces last month will be returned to Iran via Pakistan, as well as her 22 crew members. So the blockade of Iranian ports continues. The blockade's been in effect for 3 weeks now, Dana.
Well, that wasn't very much information. That's about as much information as I got from the title. But yeah, so I guess it's basically like this might be more initiated by Pakistan, if I had to guess, because Pakistan has been perceived by Iran, at least, to be aligning significantly more with American interests than Iranian interests. And as a neutral third party, they're supposed to, you know, be neutral, right? So this may have been maybe Pakistan initiated asking the United States to do this as a gesture of goodwill. I don't really know, though. I would be curious if they actually go through I would be curious if America actually goes through with it or not. I guess we'll keep an eye out. But okay, let's go to another story. This is tangentially related. This was the only channel that I could find that was covering this on YouTube, or at least like covering it like in a straight news kind of way or whatever. But yeah, so one of the biggest like side effects, I would say, of America's adventurism in Iran, like it's choosing to go in a war of choice, war of aggression against Iran, is the sanctions are starting to, well, this has been going on like way before this, or like the sanctions have been losing their effectiveness slowly but surely for a long time throughout the past like decade or so. Especially like as America started sanctioning Russia really heavily after the Russia invaded Ukraine. All of there were lots of networks of people evading sanctions. People started developing alternate currency methods and all that sort of stuff. So this is a very interesting thing where this is like the first like major escalation between like two global powers and related to sanctions, where China is apparently just saying like, no, we're not going to follow the American sanctions on Iranian oil or whatever. Just saying like we're going to like we're still going to buy Iranian oil. And yeah, so this video should hopefully cover some of that. Like I said, I don't know this channel. I don't watch it very much. Or I don't know if I've ever watched it, so I don't know how good it's going to be, but let's go ahead and find out.
China has drawn a hard legal line against American sanctions, and for the first time in history, it has actually enforced it. On Saturday, China's Ministry of Commerce issued its first ever blocking order under its 2021 blocking rules, a legal mechanism.
Okay, I'm already getting the vibe that this is a Chinese channel, probably like a Chinese, maybe like Chinese owned America facing channel, just the way that it's being edited and stuff. And also the C and CNBC might just be Chinese NBC. I don't know. I'm just joking.
Under its 2021 blocking rules, a legal mechanism designed to neutralize the extraterritorial reach of foreign laws. The order prohibits any Chinese entity from recognizing, enforcing, or complying with U.S. sanctions imposed on 5 Chinese petrochemical companies, all accused of buying Iranian crude oil.
Okay, so basically, for those unaware, the way that sanctions work is America, decides what countries are going to be sanctioned. Now, technically, by the way, this is all supposed to go through the UN, right? Like to enact sanctions is technically supposed to all go through the United Nations, but America usually just does it on their own. So America will unilaterally decide that these products are illegal to be bought and sold from these particular countries, right? And then most countries will abide by that, because the penalty of not doing so is is being disconnected from the American dollar and the American banking, like American banking system, right? If you do not abide by the sanctions, then they could seize your assets, like, because everybody holds assets in dollars. A lot of people hold assets in America. There's lots of bad things that can happen to you if you decide to avoid the sanctions, or like not follow the sanctions. Countries like China and Russia have been doing, like, shadow fleet, like behind the scenes, like skirting of sanctions for a while. Also with the rise of BRICS and like the new sort of like cross currency, like using local currencies to do transactions, you can get through a lot of them, or like get like kind of skirt past them a lot. Also, the rise of crypto as well has made it very easy for countries to get around sanctions if they want to. So sanctions have been slowly dying, right? Like the sanctions regime have been getting less and less effective as time goes on, because also as America uses it as a like hammer over and over and over, or as a nail, I guess, like over and over and over again. Eventually all of these countries start to be like, well, we'll just, it pushes our enemies, quote unquote, like to form blocks that no longer abide by the sanctions, right? So now we got China here. They're saying it's actually illegal for any Chinese company to enforce, to acknowledge or enforce these sanctions. So I guess what that would mean is that I would assume that would mean like you need to continue buying the oil like from Iran or whatever, and any country or any company that does business with you, like they can't like cite sanctions as a reason for not doing business with you or something. And honestly, because China is a state capitalist country, they can dictate to companies to like do business with this particular one. Like, oh, you're not allowed to like go to a different So this is one of those weird things where I don't quite know how exactly it gets enforced from the Chinese perspective of like forcing people to ignore the sanctions. I don't really know about that. I think that I'm curious what the impact would be for all of the products like created by these companies. I guess this is just oil refining. So really the only, like, it would be like other companies purchasing like the refined oil, potentially, like that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. It sets up like a kind of battle. Like I think this one seems more local to China in my perspective. Like this is going to be an internal thing with China, like to say like, no, we are officially going to be, buying Iranian sanctioned oil and using it locally and domestically, and all of our companies are going to buy and use it. What would be more interesting though is if this gets like, if they export this oil, or when this like goes more global, if they do this for more stuff and it goes more global, which side will countries take? Because if countries buy that refined oil that was sanctioned oil, they could be liable for, those countries could be liable for violating US sanctions. But also if they like avoid buying that oil or whatever, like maybe China might be like, well, then you're not getting all of our products that we create. Like China has a strangle. It's a manufacturing like hub of the entire world. Like you can't live in a modern society without trading with China. So they have a lot of leverage too. So I would be curious to see how that shakes out. If this ever gets expanded and becomes a little bit more international as opposed to like localized to China.
The legal basis for China's rules dates back to January 2021, but Saturday marks the first time Beijing has actually issued a concrete prohibition order under them. It is a significant shift from diplomatic protest to active legal countermeasure. So who are the 5 companies at the center of this? They include Hengli Petrochemicals' Dalian refinery and 4 so-called teapot refineries: Shandong Jincheng Petrochemical Group, Hebei and Shandong Shengxing Chemical. Teapot refineries are smaller independent facilities that operate outside China's state-owned oil giants like Sinopec. They account for a quarter of China's total refinery capacity and have long capitalized on heavily discounted crude from sanctioned countries, including Iran, Russia, and Venezuela. The U.S. Treasury's OFAC...
Yeah, so like I said, they were already buying a lot of sanctioned oil, and they kind of just like, you know, they just like find ways around the sanctions, and generally America hasn't like punished them really for doing so, because it would probably be worse, honestly, worse for America to do that anyway, to enter into, you know, another sort of like trade war with China. So that's probably why they don't really do anything about it. But yeah, this is just making it like official. Like it's just like an official, like we are not fucking with sanctions anymore.
Described Hengli as one of Tehran's most valued customers, alleging it purchased billions of dollars worth of Iranian oil. China, for its part, bought more than 80% of all oil Iran shipped in 2025. Washington's sanctions, imposed under Trump's maximum pressure campaign, placed the 5 companies on the specially designated nationals list, effectively cutting them off from the U.S. financial system and freezing their assets. Beijing's blocking order...
See, there you go. That's like some of the stuff that America can do to like try to, you know, discipline countries for doing, you know, skirting sanctions, I guess. So I guess America did actually try to do something against them. I guess it just doesn't really matter that much to them. And China said, okay, fine. And then just kept using sanctioned oil. I guess cost benefit wise, they thought it would be better to just, okay, these companies won't deal with America then. They just won't trade with America or anything. And then that'll be that, I guess. I don't really know, honestly, because I'm assuming most of this oil, like I said, is being used domestically. Probably. I don't know if they're doing any exporting of this oil after the fact, and I don't know how sanctions apply if it's a product created from sanctioned materials. I don't really know how that works.
Order took effect immediately upon publication, and China's Commerce Ministry stated that the U.S. measures improperly restrict Chinese companies from conducting normal trade activities with third countries in violation of international law. The timing is pointed. Washington and Tehran remain at a diplomatic...
I feel like I'm in Bridgerton with this background music, man.
standstill, with no permanent resolution in sight for the conflict that began with U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran in late February. China has consistently opposed the war and the accompanying sanctions regime, and Saturday's move signals that Beijing is now willing to use legal tools, not just words, to push back. Whether the blocking order has real-world teeth, given America's grip on the global financial system, remains to be seen. But as a statement of intent, it is the clearest China has made yet.
There you go. That had to be a Chinese channel, if I had to guess. Interesting. I think this is a pretty big thing, by the way. I think this is going to be the start of the unwinding of America's global dominance in finance. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but this will be, I think, one of the moments that like people will look at as like a big moment where someone just blatantly said, we are not abiding by your sanctions for like under this regard. So I don't know. It's yeah, we'll see what happens there. Let's see what else we got. A little bit more. Let's see, where are we? 53 minutes. Maybe I should move on from Iran stuff then. Let's go to Spirit. So last time that we talked about Spirit Airlines, we knew that they were originally in a meeting with the Trump administration to buy a stake in them, I think. That deal fell through. We don't really have, as far as I know, there hasn't been any information about exactly why that deal fell through. But But this is going to talk about, I guess, some of the ramifications of losing Spirit Airlines. I've been listening to some people talk about it, and I think that, you know, Spirit was kind of like the budget airline for like people who...
According to the travel booking site Kayak, in April, the average domestic round-trip airfare was up 18% compared to last year. And a part of that is obviously the rising fuel costs. But let's talk about the shutdown of Spirit and what that might mean to travelers in the coming months.
Yeah, so we were already anticipating the higher fuel costs going into the summer, and we'd already seen prices rising on many domestic and international routes. But now with the loss of an ultra low cost carrier, and you really had them for the last 30 plus years driving down prices on many popular routes, that stands to be that, you know, prices could be rising as we head into the busy summer season.
Yeah, that's exactly what the New York Times wrote about, how Spirit's presence at an airport helped keep fares down. So what does it mean to not have a major...
Spirit Airlines' demise could help other airlines. Spirit's presence at an airport helped keep fares down, a phenomenon that was studied by economists and earned the name the Spirit effect. Even in its reduced state, the company played an important role in forcing other airlines to keep fares low, some experts said. That's just normal monopolization stuff, right? As companies consolidate, right, then they get more leeway in setting prices above what they need to be or like what they could be, right? It's why I was actually full on board for Comrade Trump seizing the means of air travel and buying Spirit. I wanted Trump to buy Spirit Airlines and have a fully government owned and operated company that is not aiming for profits, right? Similar to like the mail or the postal service or whatever, not aiming for profits, but is there just to keep prices down and offer an airline to smaller regional places that that it's not necessarily that profitable to go to. I would have loved having something like that, but it doesn't seem like it was in the cards. I said the other day that I assumed that Trump got the boss call from like someone. Maybe it was the other airlines, I don't really know, but of like no, you are not going to take a stake in Spirit Airlines in this bailout. And also, I guess if Spirit is like a big why he shouldn't bail out Spirit, I don't really know. It seems really weird to me, I guess, that Spirit would not like accept a bailout in this particular circumstance, right? Like, so that's why I'm leaning towards it was Trump or someone saying, no, we're not going to go through with it. But yeah,
budget.
It does suck though that prices are going to go up.
Dead.
I don't want to speculate on kind of the business model of low-cost carriers, but I will say it is a loss for the American public.
Manipulate if the government decided to own and operate its own airline. But we're never going to do that. Like, it's, again, anybody who wants to do anything good in this country always gets the boss call from their donors or their pedobillion overlords to not do anything good. You're not allowed to do anything good in America. That's one of the founding principles of our country.
$19 or $39 or $49, they could jump on a plane and go, pretty much anywhere in the country and see places that they had not seen before. So that directly impacts the tourism economy in many locations around the country. It's a loss for the traveling public not having additional choices when it comes to booking airfare. And it's a loss for those destinations that until, someone comes in and picks up those routes, they might see a reduction in passengers temporarily.
So, Josh, a few of those major airlines have been freezing fares on those routes. Exactly what Sean Duffy says. They're doing the right thing. We don't know how long it'll last, but tell us about it.
They're all working together. First of all,
it won't last very long. They do that. So in general, people have very short attention spans. So they do it for the PR, right? They get a good round of PR right at the beginning by doing this, but then eventually people just like forget about it, and then they'll jack up the prices. It's like, have you ever heard that phrase, like the first month or whatever that you work at a job, just come in early and stay late or whatever, right? Like, because what people end up, their perception of you is largely dictated by like one instantaneous moment. It's not dictated by like your entire work history. It's like that first impression really makes a big difference. And like, so in the wake of this news cycle, by putting out a good first impression that they're going to, keep prices fixed for these locations, then like, yeah, that's great for them. And it's a good thing to do, but it's not going to last forever. The only way that it would last forever is if there was government regulation that forced them to keep doing this forever. And they wouldn't be very happy about that.
Well, Chris, it's important to know that Spirit had about 4% of the market share across the country. So there aren't that many people to absorb into the system. And yes, the airlines, the major airlines are, first of all, they're matching fares to a certain extent for about a week or two if you can show that you have a ticket on Spirit or you had a ticket on Spirit. And they've said in routes like New York to Fort Lauderdale, that was a big Spirit heavy route, they're going to keep fares pretty low. And then the other thing that's happening pretty quickly is that other low-cost carriers are coming into markets that were served by Spirit. So Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is this tiny little airport that has almost no service, Spirit flew there. Just in the last day, Breeze, which is another ultra low-cost carrier, has come in to fly some of the routes that Spirit was flying. Now, obviously, they weren't cash cows. Spirit couldn't make it work, but at least the system is adjusting without Spirit.
So, Becky, here's the $6 million.
Not for long. The consolidation is going to continue. Any of these low cost budget options will inevitably be consumed by the larger corporations. Just like Spirit was about to be consumed by like Airbus or whatever back in the day before it was blocked as like a monopolization issue. This is, I mean, I say it all the time. This is like one of the fundamental problems with capitalism is like it rewards your efforts to monopolize and fix prices. Like that's the more that our government is like ineffective at taming and reining in the worst aspects of capitalism, the more of this shit you're going to see, and the more the more expensive everything will get, and the more profits everybody will make, except for, obviously the workers. The workers are the ones getting squeezed.
Question, or maybe it's a $600 question. What's your advice to anyone who's still looking to book flights? Obviously for the summer travel season, but I've already heard people talking about, well, maybe if I'm going home for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Do we have any sense where these fares are going since we don't really know where fuel prices are going?
Yeah, I think still there's a lot that remains to be seen in regards to the fuel price and what ticket prices might look like for Thanksgiving travel, for instance. So what we recommend is starting to research prices now. Get on Google Flights, set some route alerts, and make sure that you're getting those emails and tracking that airfare. It'll show you historically what the best airfare is and what that price range should be. And then it'll also send you an email and say, this looks like the best price, it's time to book. There's also some additional tools that you can use. We talk about them on thepointsguy.com that can monitor airfare for you. And if the price drops, you could then rebook, or you could look to get a refund.
Well, lucky for me, I'm not going on vacation this year. We canceled ours because our cat, and we ended up having to spend all of our money on our cat. So we're not going on vacation this year. So I don't have to deal with any of this shit. I'll wait until next year when prices, I assure you, will still be just as high, because companies love raising their prices, but they hate lowering them. So even if the Iran war miraculously is over by next year, I'm guessing that like plane prices are going to still be pretty high.
Through some new programs that are on the market. So there's a lot of great ways that travelers can kind of protect themselves as they look to, spend money on airfare and make sure that they're getting the best price possible when they book.
Yeah, I just rebooked a flight for the end of this year that I saved myself some money. But let me ask you overall what you're hearing from people who work for the airlines. Is there a sense of angst? Not necessarily directly related to Spirit, but everything seems to be roiling.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the Spirit employees, there are somewhere between 14 and some might say as many as 20,000 people who are now out of work. And Chris, I mean, if you and I lost our job, we'd have COBRA benefits for a year and a half. They only have it for less than a month. So
what?
Yeah, that's part of the bankruptcy proceeding. So no, for them, they have to now apply for other jobs and be at the bottom of the seniority list. Other airline workers, look, it's a very, very tenuous time. JetBlue is not doing so well either. They haven't turned a profit since 2019. The jet fuel spike has really, really thrown all of these carriers for a loop. Only the ones that have been minting money with these, big lie flat seats and charging a lot for very premium services, they're the ones that are in the best situation. But
they're also taking advantage of the current economy, right? The current economy is very heavily favors those in the top 10, 15%, right? Like the relatively well off upper middle class through the uber rich are still spending money the exact same way that they were before all of our economic issues. Is what if you've heard the phrase the K-shaped economy or whatever, the people at the top are generally doing fine. It's the people who are in the middle and bottom who are unable to afford anything nowadays. So these luxury airlines are airlines with luxury options are probably going to continue to be doing fine, because the people who are still spending all the money are the people who have a decent amount of money and are not feeling any of the effects of the of the economic downturn that the vast majority of us are feeling.
Really, all the airlines, the whole industry right now is watching what's going on, and people are really crossing their fingers that it all goes well.
Josh Einiger, Becky Blaine, thank you both.
Well, there you go, people. That's what's going on with Spirit. I definitely, now that I think about it more, I'm I bet the boss call that Trump got was from the other airlines. I bet it was they did not want him to take an ownership stake in Spirit. As someone who wants to have a government owned and operated airline, that was music to my ears. I was like, oh, okay, hell yeah. When Trump but any of the random good ideas that Trump has, which aren't that often, but occasionally he says something that I'm like, oh, that's rad. Yeah, do that. Most of the time they never end up happening because he gets the boss call from whatever pedo billionaire doesn't want it to happen. So anyway, so there's that. Okay, let's listen to this one, because this is from 6 hours ago. I'm a little traumatized. Anything from 2020, I was going to say 5-letter word before virus, but I guess COVID is coronavirus, so that's actually 6 letters. But any sort of blank virus news, I take a lot more seriously ever since COVID. So I don't want this. I want to be informed, people. Apparently there was a cruise ship that was, I don't know where it was, Netherlands-based cruise ship. And a few people, this is crazy. A few people actually died on the cruise ship from this new Hantavirus. I don't know if it's new. I don't know if it already existed. But anyway, we're going to learn about it, and we're just all going to hope and pray that it's not like COVID. But I also have to go use the bathroom, so I'm going to do that at the beginning of this. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Well, let's talk a bit more about this then with Valerie de Camp, who's our environment editor. So Valerie, let's just talk a bit more about the virus itself. We know it's usually transmitted not human to human, but from rodents to humans.
Correct. It's when people become infected when they are in close contact with rodents, mice, or rats, which shed the virus in their urine, saliva, or droppings. And so that material can become airborne in the form of dust. And so you end up having people inhaling some of the particles of the virus particles. So it's an airborne virus, but also a bite or just close contact with infected rodents could lead to infection. It's also quite rare, but it could be spread from human to human, but scientists are saying that is extremely rare. People are typically exposed to hantavirus around their homes or cabins, especially when cleaning enclosed spaces, which are not ventilated that often, which where you could find mice or rats nesting, for example. And it's important to note, though, that there is an investigation underway.
Okay, guys, I think that we're safe. I think we're safe. My understanding is that any sort of I don't want to speak too soon, because also if there was like a zombie apocalypse, this would be the exact story that started it all. So maybe I shouldn't say that we're truly safe, but I have heard from people who like do way too much analysis on fiction that the zombie way of spreading disease is incredibly ineffective. Like biting or physical contact, like that sort of stuff, is very unlikely to ever become some sort of epidemic. Just because it's so much more difficult to transmit than like airborne, right? Which is what COVID was. It's the same reason that like rabies is not some like huge epidemic. If you think about it, rabies is basically just a zombie virus. So like if you think about like its symptoms and all that sort of stuff, and we nip that shit in the bud, or nip, is that the phrase? In the bud, nip that shit in the bud. I think that phrasing made me think shit in the butt, and that's why I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But well, man, what am I talking about? Okay, this is Hantavirus. It's spread by cute little animals that bite you. So just don't get bit, and you're probably going to be fine, is what it sounds like.
And so we know, according to health authorities, that one case of
Oh, wait, there is airborne virus. Oh, God. Risk of inhalation from rodent urine, saliva, and droppings becoming airborne. Okay. Don't go sniffing urine, saliva, or droppings. Okay, people. I didn't think I had to tell you that, but apparently I do. Don't do it. If you got like a fetish for that stuff too, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You got to stop. You got to stop it.
Hantavirus has been confirmed, and that is one patient being treated in Johannesburg in South Africa. But the boat operator has not yet confirmed whether the 3 deaths were actually linked to hantavirus.
Okay, and symptoms can vary, can't they, Valerie? Because actually the virus is responsible for 2 different syndromes.
That's correct. So there are different strains of hantaviruses. The one can cause a respiratory disease, so hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. And so that disease includes symptoms like fever, chills, muscles aching, a headache. So doctors say the initial symptoms are very similar to what you could have with the flu, for example, but they progress very quickly and can become deadly when the lungs are filled with fluid. And so symptoms of the pulmonary syndrome usually show between 1 to 8 weeks after exposure, and it is fatal in about 35% of cases. This strain is mostly found in the Americas. The other strain causes a different disease, hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome.
I'm going to have to, I have like a crawl space above my house that I'm pretty sure some squirrels have gotten into before. So, I'll make sure that I'm wearing my, my super protective, like, paint mask or whatever, whenever I go up there. 'Cause I don't want to be getting no hantavirus. Shit sounds like it sucks.
Syndrome. The symptoms are quite similar but slightly different. You also have abdominal pain, nausea, or blurred vision. The difference being that you can develop symptoms within a week or 2 after exposure, and the death rate is slightly lower, varies.
The last time I went up into my crawl space was like 3 months ago. So I think I'm good. I don't think I have hantavirus, unless that was what caused me to decide to start streaming. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know what made it happen, but something made me do that. So I don't know.
From 1 to 15%, and that strain is mostly found in Asia and Europe.
Okay, so it is present in a number of different places, hantavirus. So can we say, look, this is something that people are at risk of all over the world?
Well, the WHO has said that the risk of exposure is low, but it is present around the globe, this virus. Studies have shown that antiviruses have been around for centuries, really, documented in Asia and Europe. And the name comes from the Hantan River in South Korea, where more than 3,000 troops were infected during the Korean War in the 1950s. But really, researchers began studying hantaviruses later in the 1990s when there were acute cases of a respiratory disease spreading among younger people. And that's when the first respiratory syndrome of hantavirus was detected in the United States. Most cases around the globe are in rural areas, the reason being quite simple. The odds of encountering mice and rats are higher in rural areas, even though people in New York or Paris may not agree with that statement, but it really is linked to, farming sheds, cabins, places that are not usually ventilated and where you could find a mice dropping. So it's not just walking around the subway, where people could be exposed. The best way to avoid the virus really is to take precautions. So use gloves for people cleaning some spaces with mice droppings, using bleaching solutions, so protecting yourself, and also, according to researchers, avoid sweeping or vacuuming in places at risk, as that could, prevent the virus from dispersing into the air, Nadia.
Well, there you go, people. Avoid Hannah. We don't want hantavirus. We don't want it spreading. Okay, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. When I heard like 3 people dead from Hantavirus, I was like, dear God, not again, please. I don't need another COVID. So anyway, let's go ahead and I guess move on to this. We're going to watch some Fox News again, but this is about the Trump assassination attempt, not the Butler one, not the one before that, the most recent one, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I guess WHCA. I always thought it was I just called it WHCD in my title, so well, whatever. But bye, enjoy. So yeah, we're gonna see what this new information is. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what it is. I think there was a new video released, if I remember correctly, of like more high res stuff. So we're gonna see what's going on with the alleged assassination attempt by Cole Allen or Alan Cole, whichever way it was.
The suspect in the White House Correspondent Association dinner shooting expected back in court today after being taken off suicide watch. This all comes as the DOJ weighs additional charges.
He's about to get suicided the same way Epstein was suicided. You know what I'm saying? Trump's like,
breaking down some of the evidence they've uncovered so far.
We now can establish that a pellet that came from the buckshot from the defendant's Mossberg pump-action shotgun was intertwined.
Why did he have buckshot? Buckshot isn't really lethal, is it? Am I wrong? I didn't think buckshot was lethal. Is buckshot lethal? Oh, is it? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I know you have to be really close for buckshot, right? I'm not a gun guy, people, okay? So I don't know a whole lot about guns and stuff. I was thinking that, well, I guess I was thinking maybe because you had to be so close for buckshot that like I didn't think it would be a good choice for a weapon when it comes to assassinating the president, but apparently, according to Google AI, buckshot is extremely lethal. So there you go, people. There you go. Apparently, it's not that lethal though, because the dude who got shot, the Secret Service guy or whatever that got shot, was perfectly fine. So I don't know. Maybe I was right after all.
From the defendant's Mossberg pump-action shotgun was intertwined with the fiber of the vest of the Secret Service officer.
So it's definitively his bullet.
It is definitively his bullet. He hit at that Secret Service agent. He had every intention to kill him and anyone who...
I don't trust anything that Puro says. I'm going to be honest. I've looked at like their I've seen them do their like Charlie Kirk investigation. I've seen them do their Butler investigation. Like, I don't trust anything that these people say. Maybe it was his bullet, maybe it wasn't. We'll need a little bit more. They'll need to present the evidence, like in like a I'll need to see the entire like chain of custody. I'll need to, or chain of whatever, like the evidence, chain of evidence. I'll need to see the entire forensic information that like this actually was in his gun. Like, I just don't trust. I trust literally nothing that that the Justice Department says at all anymore. I'm gonna be honest. Kash Patel has essentially ruined like the FBI for me, and like also Judge Jeanine Pirro. She's failed so many of her cases at this point that I'm like, it feels like they're just really incompetent, and they also lie a lot. So I don't really trust anything they say.
Who got on his way to the killing the President of the United States.
Fox News contributor Donna Rotuno joins me now. Donna, how does that new info on the bullet change the charges?
Well, I just think it makes it very clear as to not only what the intention was, but what the charges are going to look like going forward. Clearly, this is now an attempted murder on an agent, and so this makes it a much more serious situation than just...
Okay, when did he shoot these people? I don't understand.
On an agent, and...
Okay, so here he is running. Let me see if I can slow this down a little bit. Let's go to like 0.75.
So this makes it a much more serious...
So here he's going. He's going. Did he shoot there? Is that where he shot? Maybe he shot right there, according to them. I don't know. That's hard to tell in this video because he's going so fast. Let me go back and watch it at full speed again. This is a lot cleaner surveillance video, by the way, from the last one.
Agent, and so this makes it a much more serious situation.
If he shot at all, it was probably right there. This guy shoots him right here, or like shoots at him right here. Who was the guy who got shot? Do they tell us which of these guys was the one who got shot? Because judging by that, if I was looking at this, if there was any point that he shot anybody, it's right there. And so it would have been this guy who got shot then, if that's the one they're claiming got shot. If any of these people got shot, then it was this guy who did it. So I don't know who it was that got shot.
Situation than just weapons charge.
That guy definitely shot though. I saw some I saw some shots come from his gun. So he pulls out his gun, he points it, potentially got shot right there, and then shot at least 2 shots at him, missed both times. Classic incompetent cop behavior right there. He's like 2 feet away.
Just weapons charges.
But what do I know? I'm not a gun guy, as I told you guys already.
And so this makes it a much more serious situation than just weapons charges. So it's if they prove that evidence, then that makes it very clear.
Here's more from Jeanine Pirro on the evidence against Cole Allen. Listen.
We have a lot of evidence that indicates his intent and the fact that everything that he did thereafter, whether it was, following what the president was doing, where he was going, to the day of the event at the hotel.
This is where I think they're going to get fucked. I don't think that they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was going to assassinate the president. I really don't. I'm going to be honest. I think that they can prove that he was going to attempt to shoot some of the people in that room. Maybe he wasn't even on the right floor, right? Wasn't he on the wrong floor? So they might not even be able to prove that. Like he did shoot at, if they're telling the truth and he actually did shoot at that officer, and it actually can be, you know, forensically linked to his gun or whatever, then like they could say that he tried to kill a federal officer, maybe. Like that would probably be, I'd say, their best bet.
Where he was going to the day of the event at the hotel.
Because otherwise, his other charges would just be like having a gun, like, or unauthorized possession of a gun, or taking a gun to an illegally taking a gun into an event or something, like, or whatever. Like, you could maybe with his his posting, like, you know, his Blue Sky posting, you can maybe link it to his you know, desire to like kill people in the Trump administration, like Marco Rubio and all of them as well. But I think you'd have a hard time saying that he was primarily going after Trump or whatever, or at least proving that that was what he was going to do.
Tracking on his phone. Is the president in the ballroom yet? Has the president sat down yet? What time will dinner be served? This is clearly the president is a target.
I mean, look, we hope to learn more at today's hearing about things like motive, planning, and potential additional charges. But just hearing Jeanine Pirro say that and all of the evidence that we've seen thus far, this guy seems like he is one big walking admission to the fact that he did this and his motive behind doing this. So in your estimation, is this going to be a pretty easy case?
Well, it's kind of like, I do agree to some extent that he was like, he did put a lot of evidence out there that he was going to go after, in some way, go after these Trump administration officials, right? I do agree with that. But I think that it's just you're going to have such a hard time trying this, I think, because you don't know what he was going to do when he actually like got in there or whatever. It would be like, in that regard, I'm saying, like, if he was going after them, then he was going after like potentially any one of them. And I don't think that you could point it directly at Trump personally. I don't think that that would hold up very well in court. And the problem that Judge Jeanine Pirro has all the time is that she overcharges and she like tries to get people on like terrorism charges and stuff or whatever, where it's unprovable. Like, so she usually like she tries to go over the top with her charging, and then it usually ends up like getting a mistrial. Or like that's what a lot of the cases, the high profile cases that I've seen from her, like the ones that she's taken on, have happened, as far as like from what I remember.
For prosecutors to prove.
Well, I think not only you're right, Judge Jeanine is right, but when you look at the manifesto that he wrote himself, I mean, you have to look at his own words. Not only did he write what he was planning to do.
I still never saw a shot come out of that. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand. I thought shotguns like that, I thought that they had a pretty big, you know, like I thought you could see the light and the, you know, buckshot leaving it or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a gun pervert. I don't know everything about every gun.
But he got on a train. He took that train to Chicago. That train then went to D.C. And he planned out very methodically what he was going to do. Checked into the hotel. We watched the video surveillance as we see now of him walking through.
He just wants a workout. He just wanted to get a workout in. What are you talking about?
Kind of casing the place. And then a few minutes before he does all of this, he sends this manifesto to his family. And not only does he say what the plan was, but he responds to people who may try to convince him otherwise about why he's doing this. And, you know, here's the counterpoints, and I've answered those too. So I think
I don't know if they're going to have a successful day charging him, but what I do know is that the internet has already made up its mind. The internet thinks this is completely staged, that this is fake. Even I think a lot of MAGA people don't think this is real. This is just like a symptom of the complete collapse of trust in any of our institutions to like allow us to live in a shared reality. Like Trump essentially destroyed that, right? He really pumped the conspiracies. He really pumped like, but also the entire like media apparatus around Fox News and just like well, now like independent like individuals like Candace Owens and like I don't know, like Tucker Carlson or like a lot of these people, they really like accelerated the I think ever since COVID, the detachment of people from reality. And I think what we're really seeing now is that the liberals are also like kind of jumping in on it. Like they're realizing, I don't know how many of the liberals really buy into the conspiracies necessarily. There's by the way, there's some conspiracies that like I kind of like am more on board for. And this one, the primary thing that I think is weird is just that Trump actually decided to do the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like I thought that was really strange. I wasn't expecting that. And so when this happened, I was like, well, that's kind of weird. But a lot of, I think the evidence people point to can be kind of explained away with like rational thoughts here. But I think that right now, though, most liberals, some of them actually like believe that it was all staged. I think some of them are also, though, just seeing the political salience of, you know, of just like not living in reality, like, or not arguing in reality, because then you can just, well, if you think it's fake, then you don't have to care about it, you know, like, like, I don't know, like it is like convenient, I would say. And it's one of the reasons that Republicans do it, right, is to get the political value out of not having to live in a shared reality. So I don't know. I think that like in my personal opinion, he probably did it. I don't know about the gunshots. I don't know about that. I didn't see any shot actually leave his gun. I saw definitely 2 shots come out of this guy's gun. I don't know which one of these, you know, goons was the one who got like hit or whatever. So I don't know about that. I don't know what if they're going to actually be able to prove that he did any, that he was going to try to assassinate the president or not. I don't know if a court will like hold that up, but I also like, I do not trust this administration not to botch this investigation, like in the same way that they're kind of botching the Charlie Kirk one or whatever. So I don't know.
I think it's pretty clear. I do think this is going to be a very easy case, and we're going to watch it play out. He has a right to due process. I'm sure his lawyers are going to vigorously defend him, but in the end, the evidence continues to stack up against him, I think.
To a completely different legal situation, pop star Britney Spears set to be arraigned this morning on misdemeanor DUI charges, with prosecutors expected.
Free Britney, people. Okay, well, there you go. We got to see some new footage. You know, I thought that was some very like crystal clear footage that I think was entertaining to watch, or like good to watch, and get some more information. But yeah, we'll see how the court case shakes down, because I think that they tend to overcharge people a lot. I don't think you're going to get him on trying to assassinate the president. I think you're going to get him on potentially trying to commit a mass shooting, like attempted shooting. You know, if you want to try to get him on attempted shooting of like someone in our pedo billionaire class, maybe there's a special charge for that. I don't really know. I ain't a lawyer. So okay, let's go ahead and move on. What do we got next? I don't even know if I put this one in the title. Do I want to watch that one? Well, actually, let me see. Okay, let's go with yeah, let's just go with the Epstein one.
A new development.
We've got some new information, I guess. So apparently Epstein left a suicide note, people. Before he was suicided by the Trump administration and Trump won, he had some time to write in totally his handwriting a note stating, "I am so sad and I am going to kill myself, and the reason that I'm going to kill myself is because I am so sad, because I was the only one who was involved in any of the sex trafficking. It was just me, nobody else was implicated. It was just me, and that's what makes me so sad, that I was the only one, that I was all alone and the only person who ever committed any crimes." I'm sure that that's what it said. Oh God. Don't clip that, please. Please don't clip that. This is Epstein. This is Epstein left suicide. I don't even know if they're going to tell us what the suicide note said, but this is Epstein left suicide note. New report says by Eyewitness News, ABC 7 New York. So this is like a local New York station, probably.
Development in the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The New York Times reports that the convicted sex trafficker may have written a suicide note before hanging himself in jail.
This itself may answer a long-held question, right? The note was reportedly under seal for the last 7 years. Who's got more on this? You know who it is. Joining us now with more is ABC's Aaron Katursky. Aaron, you're always on the edge of...
I want to hear what the note said, so you better fucking tell me.
The breaking news.
Well, it is an intriguing possibility, isn't it, Sam Shirley?
Yeah.
Because the idea that Jeffrey Epstein wrote a suicide note, something that investigators have never seen. So if it exists, it would be a critical piece of evidence.
Investigators haven't seen it? What are they talking about? You mean like the people who are doing the Epstein investigation haven't seen that he left a suicide note? That seems odd.
A federal judge in New York is being asked to unseal a purported suicide note by Jeffrey Epstein. His former cellmate told the New York Times he discovered the note tucked into a book after Epstein's first attempt at suicide in July 20.
Okay, he discovered the note. So this is his former cellmate, which I think wasn't his cellmate like a notorious like killer? Like, right? Didn't they put like the most dangerous person in the world in his cell or something? Have you guys ever seen that show Castle Rock? This is going to be a deep cut for people, but there's a scene, I think it's in the beginning of the show Castle Rock, where they find this dude. It's like based on a Stephen King book series or something, but they find this dude and they don't know what to do with him, so they throw him in jail, right? And he's like they find him like literally locked in a cage inside of a police department, right? And so they're like, oh God, what was our former police captain doing? This is a mess. So they put him in a cell, and then they throw a like the most like obvious like white supremacist, like huge, jacked dude with a bunch of teardrop tattoos, and they like throw those two in a cell together because they're like we have fun, right? They're like, have fun in there. Like, and I feel like they kind of did the same thing with Jeffrey Epstein. They put Jeffrey Epstein in a cell, and then they threw him in like this like notorious murderer or whatever with him. But okay, anyway, that was a long tangent. This is I don't know if this is that guy. I think they transferred him a couple times between different cellmates, so it might be a different guy. But anyway, so this guy discovered the note tucked into a book after Epstein's first attempt at suicide in July 2019. Okay. So this is a suicide note from the first attempt at his life, or like the first alleged attempted suicide by Jeffrey Epstein.
2019, when jail guards said they found Epstein with a homemade fashion noose around his neck. His cellmate, convicted quadruple murderer Nicholas
There it is. See, it was him. I was right.
Tartaglione said he found a note from Epstein on paper from a yellow legal pad that read in part, "Time to say goodbye." Federal prosecutors in New York said they did not know of such a note, but it appears to be referenced in a 2-page timeline contained in the Epstein files that said sometime between July 23rd and July 27th.
Okay. So this was when they were planting the seeds for his eventual suiciding, right? I don't know, man. Okay, so I don't believe that he killed himself. I'll be honest. I do not. I believe that he was killed by someone from the administration. I think that he was too much of a narcissist to do it. I think that maybe like these first attempts like were like maybe his cellmate set it all up, like, you better do this shit, like something along those lines, like set up the whole thing. But I really, honestly, I just don't buy that he would have done that, that he would have killed himself. And also it was way too convenient for the for the administration for him to die.
7th, NT found the note and claimed Tartaglione's lawyer authenticated the note for legal purposes in January 2020, but didn't say how. The lawyer declined to comment to ABC News because the record is sealed. Epstein told a jail psychologist, "I have no interest in killing myself," and he said he lives to have fun, to enjoy life, and to learn. Weeks later, he died by suicide in his cell.
You can't just say that, man. You got to say alleged there. You can't just say he died by suicide. You have to say he died by alleged suicide. I think that's one of those ridiculous things. Like the news loves to throw allegedly in front of everything they possibly can. But unless they're like talking about like anything that's considered like conspiratorial or whatever, then they never ever throw an allegedly there. They're just like, yep, the government said it, so it has to be true. And that's something that's like really annoying to me. I hate how they selectively choose to use allegedly.
And to learn. Weeks later, he died by suicide in his cell.
Now, the Times petitioned the judge in White Plains to unseal the purported suicide note, arguing that Epstein's ex-cellmate has already divulged its contents, so there is really nothing left to keep secret. Federal prosecutors now have until Monday to respond.
They better unseal it. If they don't unseal it, like, they are asking for people to go fucking nutty with like conspiracies. It would just validate a lot of shit. Like, oh, they don't want to release it because the handwriting will be clearly different or whatever. Like, it's going to be stuff like that. Now, even if they do release it, people are still going to go nutty with it. And probably like overanalyze it to a large extent. Find, patterns where there aren't patterns and stuff. But we will at least get to see whether it was his handwriting or not, which I think would be very informative. And if they do hide it, I will have to assume that some CIA ghoul like gave a letter to his cellmate to then plant in his book after he tried to, strangle him on like in a noose or something, like that's going to be my assumption. If they do not release it, if they like make up some excuse not to release it.
And it's possible, guys, the American public will get a look at yet another piece of Epstein evidence that's been under wraps for years.
It's a story that just keeps unfolding. But Aaron, because, you've got so much suspicion about everything that comes up about this, is it authentic? How do we know it is? You mentioned it. people have looked at it in the story.
So at the moment, we're taking the word of a convicted quadruple murderer. Nicholas Tartaglione was a ex-cop in Orange County. Mm-hmm. He says it exists.
Ex-cop. Sorry, I don't know all the details about Epstein, but that is also a red flag. If he's an ex-cop, man, he probably has like, he's probably, so he's a murderer who's also like associated with like law enforcement, like a perfect vessel for, especially if he was a corrupt cop, a perfect vessel for like the CIA to like convince to do stuff for them. Like, I feel like I don't know, man. That's also sketchy.
He says he found it on the yellow legal pad that was tucked inside a book. He says it says what he says it says, but we don't know because it's been under seal. If it's successfully unsealed, Sam, then I think we'll have a sense of, is it in Epstein's hand? We know what his writing looks like. And is it in line with his sentiments?
Okay.
This is just wild to me because it felt like this case, this incident, was so closely scrutinized. I mean, theories and then conspiracy theories. How is it possible that the prosecutors did not know?
Well, if this note exists, it is curious because it's there in the Epstein files, presumably, and the same prosecutor, Maureen Comey, prosecuted Tartaglione's case and the Epstein-Ghislaine Maxwell matter. So it's not clear why federal prosecutors wouldn't have known, but according to our sources, they did not know about this purported suicide note. Okay. And it's one more mystery that could be revealed.
Just yet another one.
With so much suspicion over how he died after the New York City Medical Examiner's Office said it was suicide.
All right.
Yeah. And independent reports also, I think there was a second one that said it wasn't. So I don't know. Like, that's why I'm saying you got to put that allegedly in there. Okay, what do we want to watch now, people? I think I'm done with everything from my title. So we're going to go into a little bit of fun stuff. I feel like I've been neglecting the fun portion for a little bit, except for like X.com, which has some fun stuff, but it's also got, stuff that makes me want to kirk myself. So let's see what else we got here. That one's too long. What's that one? Let's go with this one. I don't know what this is. Characters welcome. I assume that this is like improv in some sense. Characters welcome sounds like an improv channel. Oh, it says written and performed by Michelle Chan Bennett. Performed on Cabal, the very best in solo sketch. Okay, so it's sketch comedy. So we're gonna watch this one. Just because I've seen Bridgerton. Okay. I know you might see me as a peak of traditional male masculinity, right? And so you would think I would be like, nah, I don't want to watch that. But I did watch Bridgerton with my wife. And I honestly thought it was pretty good. I liked it. It's very like, I think that what the most obvious aspect of it is about like the spectacle, right? It's spectacle and intrigue. So it's like a palace intrigue, but with a lot of fancy outfits and great set pieces. That's like kind of how I would describe it. And then obviously it's got like the horny stuff, but it's usually from like not from a male gaze perspective. So I think that's why, it's not like Game of Thrones style. It's more, it's more for the female gaze if I had to describe it as anything. But hey, I like seeing attractive people, do their thing and fancy outfits. Like, I think it's fun. So this is going to be a sketch based on the concept of Bridgerton. The last season, for people unaware, I don't know how much they're going to get into it, but the last season, there was an Asian housemaid who was the primary love interest. She got, she kind of duped everybody into, not intentionally necessarily, but duped one of the Bridgertons into falling in love with her. And so I don't know if this is going to be about that, just because the title is The First Wasion on Bridgerton. So I'm kind of like assuming that it's going to have something to do with that last season. Also, one last thing. According to the Bridgerton universe, racism is solved, okay? It took the marriage between like a black person and a German, I think, in whatever time period it was set in, to just fix racism. Racism is gone. Racism is solved inside of the Bridgerton universe. So I'm saying all this because it might come up in the sketch. So I want to, get people some baseline of knowledge of the Bridgerton universe before we go ahead and watch this sketch. This is The First Wasion on Bridgerton. Let's go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bridgerton. Thank you for calling on me. Lady Whistledown says you have something you may want to ask me. Perhaps down on one knee. After all of your other siblings have married every other race, class, ability, sexuality, and weight.
Uh-huh.
You've completed diversity. No repeats. You need a wife with a twist. Well, you're in luck. Can't you tell from the orchestral cover of the Olivia Rodrigo song?
There is a lot of diversity in Bridgerton. Like I said, they solved racism, man. It's all over. So they do have a lot of diversity. So her is a Asian. She's like, you can beef it up a little bit. I know that I'm not like full Asian, but like, come on. I'm at least half diverse, right?
Well, you're in luck. Can't you tell from the orchestral cover of the Olivia Rodrigo song? I'm Asian. That's white and Asian. There's no need to be coy with me, Mr. Bridgerton. You're not a better gentleman because you describe my race as blue dress, dark hair. Would you like some tea? Wonderful. Food is how I show you I'm not like those proper English girls you're used to. So, how many boba would you like?
I don't think boba would be accurate for the time period that they're living in. I'm just saying. As far as I know, I don't know when boba was invented. Let's learn something today, people. When was boba invented? Taiwan during the 1980s. Okay, people. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I do not think boba is cinematically accurate for the Bridgerton universe. I'm sorry to be the bummer to this Wasian sketch we're watching.
If we marry, little Mitskis across the globe will know that they too can be a hot white guy's wife on a Eurocentric show. We'll have fixed race stuff together. I promise I'm interesting and diverse enough to carry on the Bridgerton name. Being Wasian is actually very difficult. Just ask the writers. Nothing was more difficult than finding a historically feasible justification for my existence. So they just didn't. I don't come from an impeccable bloodline. My father is a penniless Viscount, and my mother is Aquafina doing a normal voice. And I'm not just biracial. I'm a political radical. And by that, I mean I'm an athletic and sarcastic woman. I'm not like other girls, Mr. Bridgerton. I'm interested in farm science.
Wow. He's not like other girls. She's going full pick me on him. I guess the Bridgerton honestly is the show. I mean, I'm not saying like of pick me like the archetype, but it is like literally like pick me. Like that's like the whole point of the show. So I guess in a sense then maybe.
Asian people don't really like me, and honestly, I get it. And white people like me, but in a horny way.
White people are very horny for Wasians. I'm not gonna lie. That is definitely there is a kernel of truth in that. I don't know where that comes from. Probably general fetishization of Asians in general, I think. And then probably mixed with like America's like distaste for dark-skinned people. Like, American loves a light-skinned ethnicity, like person, like ethnic person, basically. So that's probably where a lot of it comes from. But I'm not some like race. I don't know all about. I was gonna say I'm not some like race scientist. I don't know all of the details of all the various fetishes that white people have in America. So take my assessment with a grain of salt.
Bet you thought I could play.
Never. I would never.
But
I would never assume that an Asian person can play piano well, okay? Never. It would never happen, never.
Had a tiger mom.
In fact, I am so woke that I assume that every single Asian person I see is trash at the piano. I assume that they are all garbanzo beans. That is what I assume, because I am the most woke.
But I never had a tiger mom. No one knows what Asian stereotypes apply to me, including me. To me, this isn't a cat. It's just a girl. You can't deny your attraction to me. I know you want to grab me by my period inaccurate corset, pull me to you and say, point out Wasia on the map. And I feel it too. Whenever we make eye contact, we both breathe like this. I know what you're thinking. It's what all
there is a lot of heavy breathing. I agree with that
my
one.
suitors have thought before. It may be hot to marry an occasionally white passing woman, but is it brave? And I know the other Asian women on the show only have like 1 to 2 references to their culture each. But actually, a huge part of being Asian is trying to be white. And I'll probably get burned at the stake for even saying that. Oh, to be mixed is to be perplexed. I am constantly vexed. Wait, this is just what the writers need for me to be compelling. Now I have what I need for my big dramatic monologue. Do you know, Mr. Bridgerton, what it feels like to be a walking contradiction? To exist between two worlds. To eat with one fork and one chopsticks. To be the sick fantasy of some post-racial world, and also the sweatiest white men you've ever seen. To be a walking soup dumpling filled with marinara.
Oh God, oh God. Okay. Controversial opinion here. I do not like fusion, like food. I'm fine with fusion in terms of people. I don't care. You can be Wasian, you can be Blasian, you can be, I don't know, Mexasian. You can be any type of fusion with people. I am completely fine with. I am anti-white supremacy. I am anti, like purity of race sort of stuff or whatever, right? But when it comes to food, I am very like I am very racist. I am very like I want if it's gonna be Korean food, I want it to be pure Korean food. If it's gonna be Mexican food, I want it to be pure Mexican food. I don't like this like mixin. I don't like this mixin of like Mexican and Japanese or whatever, like when you get like a sushi wrap but it's actually in a burrito and it has cheese on it. I don't like that shit. Okay, I'm like not in my house, you know. Like if you want to do that out there, if other people want to partake in it, that is perfectly fine, but I do not like it. I do not want it. Keep it away from me, okay? I am very against race mixing when it comes to food. Okay, this has been this is a dangerous segment I'm doing right now. This is a dangerous segment.
To never truly know who you are or where you truly belong. And even though I look like this, have the name Megan. No, you don't. And you never will. What do you mean you understand? You're bisexual. Oh, that's not real.
Okay, that was a pretty good one. That was a good ending, like stinger or whatever. That was I liked that ending. Bi erasure is yeah, that's a funny way to end it. So that was a pretty good one. I liked it. I'll give it a like. Nice job. Good character. Let's see, do we got anything else fun? I'm in a fun kind of mood now. Well, this isn't fun, but oh god, this is really not fun. Is this gonna be too gross? Let me see. Well, I have to watch it. I'm sorry, people. I have to watch it. It's based after me. This is my origin story, okay, people? We're gonna watch the Clayface official teaser from Warner Bros. And because I have a Clayface, my name is Clay. This is technically Clay. So this is technically Clayface. This is where I came from. So let's watch this trailer. Whoa. That dude's eye is bloodshot. He's been hitting that ganj a little too hard, you know? Wow. This looks pretty creepy, to be honest. Look fear in the face. Okay, well, I don't know how good it looks. It kind of just looks like I don't know, like a slasher type thing. Maybe it'll be okay. I just wanted to watch it because it was called Clayface, so there you go. That wasn't as fun as the last one, but it was a very short one at least. Okay, I think I'm probably just going to move on. Let me see if I got an article I can read. This one I could read, maybe. I've also been doing bad about article reading lately because I feel like I'm always like in a rush now. I feel like I sometimes have too much content going on. Like I have too much stuff on my to-do list. So then I want to like, you know, like I usually like it's usually around the 2-hour mark that I'm like, okay, I want to start wrapping this up, you know? And so like sometimes I got so much actual news that I'm covering that I don't actually end up making it to some of the fun stuff or like the article reading section and stuff. I'm trying to get back to being better at that because I like to, you know, I like to read articles. I think a lot of people don't read articles really anymore a lot of the time. And so I think maybe it helps with if people can just listen to me read them. So this one, this was an article that caught my eye from the Army Times. This is like a military website. I would say they're like I've read articles from they come at everything just from like a classic like military, like it's like for, I would say, more geared towards like people who have been in the military. Like it's written from like their perspective and like so anyway, this one I thought was interesting because it could indicate like what potential like future warfare might you know, might entail. It might also have some indications of like, well, I saw this article titled "New Arctic Combat Course Teaches Troops to Fight and Win in Extreme Conditions," and I thought, oh, they're gearing up for like another like Minneapolis or whatever. Like they're going to go into like Michigan, like again with the Army, and they need to practice in the Arctic so that they could prepare better for next time. So, but I don't know what this is going to be about. So let's read this. This is from Army Times by Christina Stasis. New Arctic Combat Course teaches troops to fight and win in extreme conditions. An Alaska-based squadron developed a new combat course aimed at furthering Arctic combat capabilities as the region becomes increasingly relevant geopolitically. Okay, so Alaska then. They're probably worried about like Russia or something, if I had to guess. The 673rd Division Security Forces Squadron, located at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska, is currently running trial courses of the Arctic Combat Development Course until the region's winter conditions thaw, most likely through mid-May, according to an April 24 release. The 5-day course teaches topics such as basic Arctic medicine and combat patrolling on snow machines, among other subjects, prepping the service members going through the course to be ready to support the nation's last frontier, the statement says. Okay, so Alaska. I don't really know what Alaskans think, to be honest. But there is honestly no good God reason that Alaska should be a part of America. Alaska should either be a part of Canada or an independent like country or something, in my personal opinion. I'm assuming like most things like Hawaii and stuff, it got like taken, or like it was acquired by the US for geopolitical strategic goals or whatever, like a classic like American imperial ambitions or whatever. So I would have to look into the history of Alaska as a state. I don't know all the details about it, but yeah, and like if the Alaskans want to be a part of America, then sure, they can stay a part of America. But yeah, I don't know. I would be worried about going like I would be worried about them like if they have to like start sacrificing a lot to be a part of America, though. Also, if they became a part of Canada, they would get healthcare and shit, which so maybe that would be maybe that's what they would want. I don't know. They should do some polling on it. The goal is to better equip our members for airbase installation defense in an Arctic and subarctic environment, giving airmen the skills to conduct long-term combat operations in austere environments. And SFS says, and expeditionary skills trainer Senior Sergeant Logan Franks said in the release. Staff Sergeant, I don't know all the abbreviations for military stuff. The course is tailored to enhance and prepare individuals who operate in an Arctic environment more than 50% of the year, Franks continued. There's also the possibility that this is like, instead of just for Alaska stuff, this could also be for like the actual Arctic. I know that there's been some sort of like, you know, saber rattling about the Arctic from like other nations and stuff as well, and America. Like, so it might be also possible that they're anticipating some sort of conflict up there as well. The Air Force emphasized how Alaska, one of the world's harshest environments, is increasing in geopolitical significance and strategic worth. A significant portion of the state is located in the Arctic, an area where the possibility of conflict is increasing as defense officials warn that Russia could turn its attention to the region after the war in Ukraine. So that was what I was just saying. That's a big after. We don't know when that war is going to be over. I'm guessing that's going to be a long-term conflict still. Like there's no signs that Russia is ready to stop fighting. From what I can tell, without like major concessions from Ukraine. And there's no signs that America is ready to allow Ukraine to concede to major concessions. So I think that, yeah, we'll see about that. The base already offers other foundational programs for Arctic operations like Arctic resilience training, but this course focuses on the ability to fight and win combat situations in Arctic conditions instead of just cold endurance, the release states. The first day of the course focuses on Arctic medicine, and the second and third days cover mobility and patrolling. On the fourth day, members use weapons and tactics to learn cold weather weapons and how to use snow for cover. Man, that would suck. I would hate if I got like sent to do fucking Arctic weather training. That would be awful. Like, please send me to Hawaii. Like, I don't want to go to Alaska. No offense to my Alaska brothers and sisters. The final day of the course is a simulated combat patrol exercise followed by an after-action review, according to the release. The squadron hopes to have the course accredited officially before the beginning of the next winter season. As more eyes look toward the Arctic, courses like AC/DC, what a name. What songs they got? TNT, I'm dynamite. Throwing dynamite. That's what they do. You think they play it? Do you think they blast AC/DC whenever they're up there? That would make it more fun. That would, in fact, if they did that, I would be willing to go to the Arctic for training. Courses like AC/DC ensure our defenders aren't just surviving the cold, they're dominating it, the release says. Okay, well, that was a short one. Let me see if I can find anything else to read. Maybe this one. That one's a little too long. What about this one? Okay. I think we can do this one real quick. I'm doing two. You get to hear me read two articles today. That one was really short, so we're going to read this one next. I guess it's kind of related. We're talking about, like, the world becoming more dangerous, people being prepared for conflict in multiple domains. So this one is global turmoil pushing Japan to move away from pacifism to deterrence. Oh, yeah. Pacifism. Okay. Am I hearing something in my audio? Oh, maybe there's some ad playing or something. Yeah, it's gotta be this. Okay. So pacifism is an interesting way to put it, because Japan is already an American outpost next to China, right? Like, it is entirely, like, their entire, like, yes, they don't themselves have that much of a military, but they just like outsource that to American military bases, like on their soil, as a deterrent against China or whatever. So this is kind of like, I think what they're talking about more is not from pacifism to deterrence. It's from completely relying on America for deterrence to maybe relying on themselves for deterrence, which I'm kind of for, but also Japan has a very bad history when it comes to their their like imperial aggression around the region. So I'm also a little bit skeptical. Let's see what this has to say though. This is global turmoil pushing Japan to move away from pacifism to deterrence by the Japan Times. So this picture says a demonstrator holds a paper fan featuring the number 9, referring to Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which renounces war as a sovereign right and prohibits the maintenance of armed forces. The post-war international order based on multilateral cooperation and free trade is on the verge of collapse. People now live in an era where merely advocating for peace is no longer enough to protect their nation's security. It is the duty of politics to bring the supreme law in line with the times to tackle new challenges. God, I wish they would stop playing this stupid ad. God damn it, dude. I hate capitalism. I hate it so fucking much sometimes. Anyway, it has been 79 years since the Constitution came into effect. Japan has enjoyed peace and successfully achieved economic development after the end of World War II, with a ton of help from America and the West in general. It goes without saying that the pacifist Constitution has served as the foundation for this. Universal principle... No, it goes without saying that America built Japan up as a outpost against China. Like it's hard to fail, right? It's really hard to fail when you have America essentially backstopping your development as a counterbalance against their enemies. It's the same way it's hard for Ukraine won't ever fail as a country because America will constantly prop it up as a counterbalance against China. Same with Israel will never fail because America props it up as a counterbalance against Iran, and Taiwan will never fail because America props it up. When America offers you unlimited support as in exchange for being a vassal state that is there to counterbalance against their enemies, it's very hard to fail. You would have to be distinctly terrible at managing your economy to fail, because really America essentially operates tells Japan what policies to do, what economic policies to do, all that sort of stuff. Japan doesn't have a ton of sovereignty in this sort of in this equation. So universal principles, popular sovereignty, respect for fundamental human rights, and pacifism must continue to be upheld. I like pacifism, so sure, and human rights. And sovereignty. I like them all. I don't think you really have sovereignty, but I do like all of those ideas in theory. At the same time, it is also a fact that the current constitution has failed to keep up with the times. The ruling and opposition parties should first draft specific text for articles to amend the constitution and hold discussions based on these drafts. This is likely to allow the points that need to be amended to be clarified. The preamble to the constitution states that the people of Japan have determined to preserve the nation's security, trusting in the justice and faith of the peace-loving peoples of the world. However, permanent members of the UN Security Council, countries that should bear responsibility for world peace, are now threatening peace. So this is aimed at the United States, I think, generally. And maybe Russia too. And maybe China. I don't know. They're probably aiming this at everybody. Maybe they're not even aiming it at America, but America is definitely abandoning all aspects of the UN and international law and all of that stuff, and peace in general. America is throwing the entire concept of soft power and winning getting concessions from other countries through diplomacy. America is throwing all of that in the trash bin. So yeah, I don't know. Russia has continued its aggression. I should have just read the next sentence, apparently. Russia has continued its aggression against Ukraine for more than 4 years. The United States has also disregarded international law by launching attacks on Iran and allowing Israel to, this is me adding something, and allowing Israel to commit genocide in Gaza. China is stepping up pressure on neighboring countries and regions by wielding its economic and military power. It's so funny to me that the most that they can say about China is that they're they're trading more. They're trading more, and they're trading in a scary manner. And also they're building up their military, which I get you. That can be, I guess, a little scary. But given the history between China and Japan, China has much more reason to fear Japan than Japan has to fear China. Amending pacifist constitution. The principle of the preamble that the Japanese people place trust in other nations does not hold true anymore. The era in which Japan relies on the United States for security and maintains the self-defense forces at a minimum level of capability is over. Discussions on the Constitution are essential from the standpoint of what role Japan should play in protecting the security of the entire Asian region. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with this. And I do think Japan needs its own sovereignty, which is why I am all for them like kicking out American bases and American troops from their country and developing some sort of deterrence-based military capabilities. However, I'm highly skeptical. There's two countries that I am always highly skeptical of developing military capabilities. That's Germany and Japan. I'm going to be honest. Those are the two that I am always very, very skeptical of. And you might say like, oh, it's because they were the bad guys in World War II or whatever. Kind of. It was because it's because of their history of imperialism. And like, for instance, like Germany rearmed before World War I and rearmed before World War II. So whenever Germany starts building up its army and stuff again, like it's usually like a prelude to World War. And then obviously, yes, there are the atrocities that Germany committed. But then Japan, not only just World War II, but Japan has a terrible history of imperialism, particularly with China. And so that's why I'm very like, you know, a little bit hesitant for those two countries in particular to build up, you know, large militaries. But if they were, I would prefer that they would get embedded in a regional security apparatus that included China, to be honest. If I had to guess, or if I had to give my opinion. But the Liberal Democratic Party has proposed maintaining Article 9 and creating a new clause called Article 9.2 to explicitly mention the SDF. However, the Japan Innovation Party and the Democratic Party for the People have argued that just stipulating the existence of the SDF could leave constraints on the exercise of the right to self-defense, given that these parties have called for deleting a provision in paragraph 2 of Article 9 that bans Japan from maintaining war potential and to explicitly reference the right to self-defense. Debate on amending Article... I keep hearing this whatever ad is playing that is so annoying. A debate on amending Article 9 has been on the wane lately, but this is an issue that should not be put off. As for lawsuits concerning disparities in the value of votes in national elections in recent years, the judiciary has interpreted equality under the law as equality in the value of votes and has called on the DIET to correct these disparities. Okay, based on these judicial decisions, the ruling and opposition parties have reduced the number of regional electoral constituencies in the House of Representatives. In the House of Councilors, electoral districts and prefectures that neighbor each other were merged to create the Tottori, Shimane, and Tokushima, Kochi constituencies. I think I went to Kochi when I was in Japan. Sorry, that's irrelevant to the article, though. I don't know that much about the internal various parties in Japan. So and how their actual government is organized and operated. So I don't have a whole lot to say about that. Changing methods of warfare. The security environment surrounding Japan is becoming more severe than ever before. Japan also has to deal with new methods of warfare, including those involving the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, commonly known as drones. How can the necessary funding be secured to further strengthen the nation's defense capabilities in response to these circumstances? It is essential for the government to identify challenges involved in safeguarding peace and safety in the entire Asian region, and to establish a framework to translate these challenges into actions based on the opinions of experts. You're going to run into a lot of problems, Japan, because the primary problem is that you're going to need ungodly amounts of parts and components from China if you want to start building the stuff up. And China is going to be very wary of sending you these parts unless you engage in some sort of military military agreement with China that you won't use them against them in any way, shape, or form. Even then, they might be skeptical. That's why I'm saying like a regional apparatus for like defense, I think is probably the best bet. You like China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, Taiwan, like all of these countries should like to some extent come together and like determine like a regional defense strategy is probably like is my recommendation. But I think I read that one. By the end of the year, the government plans to revise 3 security documents, including the National Security Strategy, which sets forth the basic security policy, and the Defense Build-Up Program, which specifies defense spending for 5 years that started in fiscal 2023. A panel of experts tasked with discussing how the documents should be revised has held its first meeting. The current documents, which were revised at the end of 2022, explicitly stated the need to possess counterattack and other capabilities to enhance Japan's ability to deal with missiles from China and North Korea. Defense spending was set at 43 trillion over 5 years. 43 trillion yen, by the way. Which in general, I think you can divide it by 100 if you're trying to get to American dollars. So what, 430 billion? I think is what that would be, which is still a lot. 430 billion. That can't be right. Is that right? Japan defense budget. I didn't think they spent that much. Maybe it's maybe I did the decimal point wrong. Yeah, 58 billion USD. Okay, so I had the decimal point wrong. I was like 430 billion seems crazy. That's like a third of America, which America is ungodly amounts of money. So since then, however, China has continued to build up its military capabilities, has begun deploying aircraft carriers in the Pacific, and has repeatedly conducted military exercises. Russia and North Korea are deepening their military cooperation. It is clear that the security environment has deteriorated compared to the situation 4 years ago. It is appropriate for the government to advance the revision of the 3 documents to be prepared for these threats. The focus of the discussions leading up to the revisions is how to deal with new methods of warfare. Iran is deploying large numbers of low-cost drones to counter attacks by the United States and Israel. Yeah, that is the future of warfare, for sure. Currently, Japan lacks the foundation to produce drones that can be used in combat. It is essential for the government to help rapidly foster defense companies in order to procure high-performance drones. I'm curious what America is going to have to say about all of this, right? Because America is going to want Japan to just buy American like military assets. And it won't be happy about Japan like producing stuff themselves, I think. Generally speaking, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe America will allow that, but I don't think America is going to like that. In general, like especially under Trump, like their main thing is selling as many weapons as possible. So they want to like they want to sell weapons to these people. Currently, Japan lacks the foundation to produce drones that can be used in combat. I think I already read that. Ukraine, which is being subjected to Russia's aggression, constantly faces a shortage of weapons. Maintaining combat sustainability is a significant challenge for any country. Constantly faces shortage. Yeah, well, you know who else constantly faces shortages of weapons? America. America is like so like is unable to produce fucking shit, dude. America sucks at producing everything. So maybe that's why they want to get, because it's like, even if they were going to buy weapons from America, we blew through like half of our missiles in 6 weeks of war. So there might not be nothing left. So maybe that's why maybe that's what they're talking about, or why they're going about this. The government has revised the 3 principles on transfer of defense equipment and technology and their operational guidelines, paving the way for the export of lethal defense equipment, expanding sales channels overseas, and establishing a framework for mutual cooperation with like-minded nations is extremely important for Japan. If domestic production capability can be improved through such steps, the nation's combat sustainability will also be enhanced. I think Japan's problem is that they're just so aligned with the West, man. They're so aligned with the West that they can't see the benefit of having a regional defense pact with China. Like, that's what they should do. Like it would be so much better for them to just be like aligned regionally with like China. Like China is also, you should get out ahead of it. China's the ascending superpower. America is a declining superpower. If you keep like hitching your like ropes to America, like they're going to drag you down with them. Like government support is essential for companies to export defense equipment smoothly. Perhaps government involvement in such matters as price negotiations should be considered. Okay. Going forward, the extent to which security-related expenditures, including defense spending, should be increased will also be a topic of the expert panel. Enhancing defense capabilities requires permanent fiscal resources. There should not be a casual reliance on government bonds, nor should stopgap measures be used. The government should directly seek the public's understanding regarding the securing of permanent fiscal resources. It's going to be hard, man. Getting the public on board for this. The public also do not let them fund this with austerity. Like you got it. Like we've been living through this forever in America, where they fund all of our, like the most inefficient system of procuring weapons ever in our Defense Department. They procure it that $1.5 trillion through austerity all the fucking time. Don't let them do that. If you're like, I would say as the people of Japan, I don't necessarily disagree that you should move away from depending solely on America for deterrence. My recommendation is primarily to get involved in a regional defense pact with China. But if you're not going to do that, if you are going to start building up your own military in particular, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, except for the fact that it's Japan and their history of imperialism, then make sure that it's funded by taxing the fuck out of your millionaires and billionaires. Okay. Don't let them do austerity to do this. Because yeah, it's nothing good happens from that. That would accelerate your descent into fascism, which with Takaichi, you're already getting there. You don't need to go any faster. Okay, well, that's that. We read a couple articles today, people. How are we feeling? 2.5 hours. Oh, okay. Let's get on to the X.com portion. I'm gonna find some. If there's a good one, if there's a good one, then we're gonna end it pretty soon, because I try not to go over 2.5 hours for my own sanity. I don't know how people like Hassan do it for like 8 hours straight. It's insane. Let's see here. What do we got?
This
Adam Mogler, Moggin people. This is fallout from when he mogged on Scott Jennings in the CNN. Oh, and now the Trump admin's involved. Hell yeah, people. The Trump admin needs to get involved in any minor mogging that occurs on any right-wing coded person. Anytime a right-wing coded person gets mogged on, I think that the Trump administration should throw that person in jail. But not the person who got mogged on. The poor, sad, victim of MOG assault, like Scott Jennings. I don't think he should go to jail. I think that the person who did the mogging should go to jail for making anyone very just slightly right-wing coded feel a little upset for a second. That's what I think needs to happen. But let's see what's going on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that is what's happening here.
This guy, my friend Adam Mockler, just made MAGA pundit Scott Jennings completely lose it on live TV. But now Trump's inner circle is getting involved. So let's talk about it. Really quick, if this is the first time you're seeing me, my name is Z. I'm a political operative, and I run the largest counter organization to Turning Point USA on the left national.
I don't trust that. Number one, if you're saying you're a friend with Adam Mogler, I mean, no offense to Adam Mogler, but he is very lib coded and very Democrat Party coded. So this organization, I know nothing about it. Okay. But just judging by her hustle, right off the bat, plugging it and all that sort of stuff. This is giving me chorus vibes. So but anyway, we'll see what she's talking about. I want to hear more about the Trump admin going out there and, you know, rightfully protecting the poor right wing, the poor mogged right wingers. That's what I want to hear about.
Ground game. You've probably heard about us through the Unfuck America tour. Next couple weeks, I have groundbreaking news coming out on Turning Point USA that you're not going to want to miss. So go ahead and hit the follow button. Okay, really quick to catch you up. Just a couple of days ago, Adam Mockler, who's a rising star on the left, was on
Mogler. Come on, guys.
CNN and confronted Scott Jennings on the Iran war.
Or is failing. 8 weeks is endless to you? Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time. Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Honestly, I'm not going to have this, guys.
See, did you see that mogging that just took place on live television, people? That should not be legal. No right-wing coded person should be allowed to be mogged on like that. It's a vicious mogging that took place on live TV, and we should all be opposed to it. Every patriot out there should be opposed to this mogging.
Everybody hang tight.
Honestly. Okay. Obviously, this was inappropriate, and so a lot of people.
And I don't appreciate this girl victim mogging these people.
Thought that Scott should be fired or at least reprimanded for what he did. So obviously Adam was posting about this incident when Brandon Carr, Trump's FCC chair, got involved in the comment section. He said FCC rules don't prohibit any profanity on cable. And then a MAGA account responded saying, what are the rules for slapping somebody on cable? Which Brandon Carr responded, also not prohibited. I just want to remind you that this is a
what? Okay, she got me, I think. She clickbaited me. This was just some Twitter beef. Some Twitter comments. This is not a real thing. This is not a real thing. He's not going after Mogler. Come on.
High-ranking government official that is so mad that somebody on his team lost a point on the Iran war that he is willing to have people threaten violence against him. Anyway, this administration is so fucking unserious.
Sorry, this is so lib-coded. This is too lib-coded for me. This is just Twitter beef, dude. I don't know. That's not that serious. The only like Brandon Carr thing that was like kind of serious was the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, like where they actually like threatened to get him like to take them off the air or whatever. Like that's like, you know, actual like First Amendment violation stuff or whatever. This was just him leaving a couple comments on Twitter. It's not that serious. What's this? Lauren Sanchez Bezos attends the 2026 Met Gala. They all have the same fucking face, dude. It's insane to me. Why do these people do this to themselves, man? I mean, look, I'm not one to judge people for going and getting plastic surgery or whatever. Like, if you want to go get plastic surgery, that's your choice. You can do it. If you're going to get plastic surgery, though, please ask to look look different than the other people with plastic surgery, because all of their faces inevitably morph into the exact same fucking face. I get so like I don't understand it, man. If you're also like, I would much rather you like get like body modifications or something, like something more unique than this. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not one to judge people for, I judge billionaires, obviously. I don't give a shit about billionaires' feelings. I just don't want to hurt other people out there's feelings if they get plastic surgery. Like, just don't get the same face as all the other ones. Get a different face. There's more than one face out there, people. Look at mine. You can get my face. You can take my face, okay? Go to your plastic surgeon and be like, I want to look like this guy. My favorite streamer, Technically Clay. That's what I want to look like. Okay. So, there you go. There's one option for you. God, I hope Amazon AI isn't like listening to me like, okay, we have your permission. We will now create millions of deepfakes of Technically Clay. You know, like, I'm like, dear God, please don't, please, Amazon, I take it back. You don't have permission, Amazon. I'm talking to my viewers. They have permission. Okay, people. Anyway, Caroline Kwan says, this Amazon ass prom dress. I'm not one to know much about dress quality and, you know, that sort of stuff. So I'll take her word for it. What's this? Double Down News. That's too long of a video. From Radical Graffiti, a message from Mary, a 72-year-old Amazon worker from North Carolina, projected onto Jeff Bezos' $120 million penthouse before tonight's Met Gala, chaired by Bezos. Maybe he was actually there for once. Dear God, Zoran, tax the shit out of him. That new whatever tax you got for people who don't live there and who just like hold on to these, you know, insanely expensive pieces of property just to I don't know, just to have them in case they happen to visit New York one day. Tax the shit out of him. Seize that shit. Just seize it from him. Use the government and just seize it from him. Take it from him and turn it into like 20, 20 apartments or something. That would be much better.
Ciao. Bezos. My name is Mary Hill. I'm a 72-year-old warehouse worker at one of your facilities. When we
Also, you can tell that our society is dysfunctional, that we have fucking grandmas working like a warehouse job. My God, dude, this is a dystopian hellscape. Like
from paycheck.
These people should be relaxing. They should be enjoying their their old age, man. Like they should be like hanging out with their family and stuff. They shouldn't have to have a fucking job. This is a crazy, insane system that we have set up. It's awful.
Warehouse worker at one of your facilities. When we struggle from paycheck to paycheck, from week to week, really angers me. Because if it weren't for every associate in every Amazon facility, he wouldn't have all those zeros behind his name.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Jeff Bezos.
He would have nothing. He would have nothing. They're vultures, man. Capitalists are vultures. That's all they do is they take surplus labor value and they just funnel it into their pockets. It's sick. It's evil. Like they're vultures. Yeah, this shit sucks.
People that need to be being celebrated at the Met Gala are the workers. People like me. We deserve that celebration. We deserve so much more than we're getting. There's power in numbers. And there's more of us than there are of you. Remember, Jeff.
One day, man. One day these people are going to find out. Like I'm just saying, like the billionaires, the people who are stealing all of our profits from us, one day they're going to find out that there is a limit, that people they always pretend like they're never going to have any consequences for this, but there is a limit to what people are willing to accept in terms of wealth inequality. It's inevitable that it exists at some point. Americans, unfortunately, are probably one of the most like subservient like types of people in the world. Like they're the most like I don't know, like cattle, or like, you know, like they're the most like willing to accept their own suffering for the expense, like at the expense of like the billionaires getting infinite amounts of wealth or whatever. Like in general, I would say Americans are very slow to like revolutionary action. They're slow to organizing. They don't have any concept of class consciousness. In general, I just think Americans are like very, very like weak-willed when it comes to challenging power. Like they very much like support power and are unwilling to ever rise up against that power, right? And so like I think it'll take longer for America than it would for instance, in other countries, but eventually there's going to be a point where it's undeniable and people will get out the pitchforks. And these people are going to be lucky if all we take is their money. I'm just saying.
Ordinary people like myself that help make you billionaires, if we built it, we can tear it down. Think about that tonight, okay? After that bottle of champagne when you go to bed. We're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep building, and we're going to keep protesting, and we're going to keep marching, and we're going to keep fighting this dystopian culture.
Hey, that's what I said.
We're just getting cranked up. Enjoy your damn gala.
Yeah, the other thing that it's like it's a slow build up, right? Like these types of like, movements and whatnot. It's a slow, like in any sort of like revolutionary, like change in society. It's a very slow buildup until it reaches a point, and then it's like unstoppable, and then it just goes like full force. That's how historically it usually happens. So, you know, we'll see. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know. Like I said, the American people are very weak-willed. They are very willing to suffer. They're very like slave-like, I guess, or like they're very like willing to be slaves to capital. Yeah, I think it has to do with the propaganda, the sheer amount of propaganda that we've been taught from, you know, and also like our entire country's existence in general has been very like this notion, like the white Protestant sort of like work ethic, like sort of stuff. And then, but yeah, the sheer amount of propaganda that has gone into like the capitalist model that we have built here, I think really makes people like just willing to just roll over and let people step all over them. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, what's this? What's this? A Hassan clip on my Twitter feed? Get out of here. Let's watch it.
The notes are gonna read, he just streams all day, and then he stops streaming, eats dinner, jerks off, and passes out. This is unbelievably boring. He watches the most vanilla porn. Stop. You can't be telling people, man. You need to keep it obscure, okay? You never tell people. And he passes out. He's like a robot. Every day it's the same shit. He wakes up in the morning, he works out. This man's life is unbelievably boring, with the exception of you know, what he's doing for a living. Yeah, I don't even listen to music.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I don't listen to a lot of music anymore. I have very specific tastes.
Well, the foyer definitely won't say you game. That's for damn sure. Okay, dude. Eventually, they'll just go home and copy paste their notes over.
Well, there you go. Do we want a good boo session on a Donald Trump video to end it? 1 second. I'm going to see if I can find anything else real quick. Is there another fucking shooting, dude? Dear God. Sorry, shooting. Air quotes. Let's see what's going on. I mean, I only half trust power to the people. He's sometimes a little off, I think, with he's kind of like I don't really know what to describe him as, but I don't always trust the stuff that he says, the reports that he says. But that does look like an evacuation. Adam Friedland says, I'm going to throw up. Me too. This was the stupidest thing ever. The White House, like, I have all the cards thing, but he has all the fucking Uno cards, or like the like it's like, or the wild cards. I don't know. That was just really, really dumb. Okay, let me go back up. I think let's just end it on let's just end it on this one, okay? This is Palpatine has never even heard of Order 66. This is Walter Masterson on May the 4th. Oh, that's right. Happy May the 4th, people. Happy Star Wars Day. This is the dude, Walter Masterson, I think from The Good Liars, if I remember correctly, dressing up as a stormtrooper to go crash a Chud rally, I think, if I had to guess.
Support the Empire. The Galactic Empire.
Oh God. Oh God. What country are you in, buddy? Fucking traitor. Get out of here with that fucking flag. Come on, man. Traitor, dude. Oh God. All these, there's so many traitors in one place.
I stand with the Empire.
Yeah, that person's defaming our flag. Wait a second. Look. They're turning our American flag into an Israeli flag. Come on, that should be illegal, right? Is that not treasonous against our country? What's going on?
Alderaan from the Rebel Alliance. It was Moff Tarkin. He blew up Alderaan. This is the most moral empire in the entire galaxy. The Mandalorian with his baby Yoda as a human shield. Do you support the Galactic Empire? What's the connection? Are you making fun of?
He obviously is making fun of you. You're supporting the empire. This is the most obvious thing ever. And it frustrates me to no end that most Americans don't even understand that George Lucas was like explicitly creating that at least the third movie as an allegory for the Vietnam War with the Empire as like the bad guys. It's so obvious, man. The Empire is America in this situation.
No, the Galactic Empire. Remember, I'm talking about Star Wars. I think he's making fun of us. Wait, I'm here to talk about Star Wars. Yeah.
Yes, you dumb fucks. Yes, he's making fun of you.
These are people on defense. And the liberal media is never going to talk about Saw Gerrero, right? Yeah, exactly. Criminals wear masks. Yeah, criminals wear masks. Only criminals. Cowards. Take your helmets off. Emperor Palpatine has never even heard of Order 66. So he put some biochips in each of the clones. That doesn't prove anything.
Oh my God, dude. Jesus Christ.
There is no...
God, there's nothing, man. There's nothing like seeing someone with Zionist brainworms in the wild, man. These people are so unhinged.
There is no Alderaan. Alderaan doesn't exist. Emperor Palpatine...
Alderaan, that's his home world, right? Or is Alderaan the one the Princess Leia's like where they blow it up in the beginning? I can't remember.
Tried to save Alderaan from the Rebel Alliance. The crime rate on Alderaan, he brought it to 0%.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. That's a good one to end it on. Okay, people, I've been here way too long. I gotta get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I had some fun. We had a little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning with my videos being on 1.5 speed and some mic muting problems, but you know what, we worked through it and I think we ended on a fun note. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching the VOD, love you too, and I will see you again tomorrow. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye bye.